Hi, everybody.
Okay,
Let's see. We got Alan here from Comic Collector Geek. We're going to see, wait a minute and see how many people join us. We got 2 comments so far. So I know we got 2 people in the room. They're probably watching the ad. Because, you know, YouTube like to throw those ads out. So we got Predator X in the room. We got Johnny Future. Hey, Johnny. He got a new icon going on there. K Mullen for day three of straight live streaming.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry, we're a little bit behind schedule, working out some technical difficulty.
Yeah, we had a couple of bugs, but
we've been having a lot of bugs lately, which is why we're where we are now. So hopefully we're streaming clearly. Can everybody see and hear us clearly? Because again, we had the interview last week, and it was they looked all right, and we looked absolutely awful. We looked like we were broadcasting from another planet, and so we've been working on it for a few days to get it tuned in properly. Okay. So hey, everybody, let us know. Can you see and hear us clearly?
Yeah.
Is there still a little bit of lag? We're working on it.
Yeah, we getting some stuff done, but that's okay. So we got some people here. So again, we got Alan from Comic Collector Geek, and he's been with us before.
Yes.
And tonight we're going to be talking about PreCode Horror, but you know how we do. We just talk.
Yes.
And we just hang out. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to look at some great PreCode Horror books, talk about that, and then we're going to just shoot the breeze. But
Alan is your expert.
If you want to talk about anything comic related, Alan is the man.
And of course, Alan is Comic Collector Geek on YouTube.
On YouTube. And he has an Instagram page, which is the same name, Comic Collector. So check out both. He does every day. He has a new video out. I know on Mondays he talked to the guy from Europe.
England, yeah.
England. And they do like a reviewing like the books of the week or something like that. And
it's
then
random shows, but yeah,
it is random. Because they talk about speculation, book prices, just a lot of different stuff. And then
Hey Black Knight.
Hey Black Knight. I like your dog. On Wednesday he does question and answer. And then on the other days it's mainly unboxings, and on Friday he does the challenge, the weekly challenge. And then on Saturdays he does like a collaborative, like kind of what we're doing now, but he records it and then plays it a little bit later.
There's Nate.
Hey Nate.
And of course Raccoon Eyes, Johnny
Raccoon
Future.
Eyes is here.
Moz is here. Moz is here again. Thanks for joining us this evening. Yeah,
and Robert.
Alan has a lot of slabs. How many slabs do you have, Alan?
I think it's about like just over 1,000.
I thought, okay, because I know you got like 20,000 books, but out of the 20,000, 1,000 of them are slab?
Yeah, something like that. I think there might be more than 20,000. I'm not sure how many books.
Okay, I thought you had more slabs than that, but that's still a lot of slabs.
I'm guessing. I'm totally guessing. So it might be closer to 1,500 slabs.
Yeah. And Alan just moved, so when we saw him before, he had a whole different setup. So he's still working on this setup right here.
It's pretty sketchy right now, but supposedly at the beginning of March, actually, I'll get it done. So
that's next week.
Yeah, it's like the 9th that they're coming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, guys, we've been working on it because we didn't know that it was messing up when we were doing that other interview with Tony.
Yeah.
We didn't know until the next morning, and we saw it and we're like, oh no, we got to fix this. So we've been working on it for a few days.
And what happened in the previous interview?
Yeah, on Wednesday we had Tony, the owner of EGS Comics.
Oh wow!
The grading service, and we did an interview with him live, like we are now. And while we were doing it, we looked great. But then when we looked at it on the TV later,
it looked clear in studio.
Yeah,
and then he looked all right, but then we were like, really fuzzy, and it's like, whoa, wait a minute, we got to fix this because we're trying to give everybody a good experience.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys look super sharp to me, so I don't know.
Yeah, we've done a lot of things. So we did another live stream on yesterday because we were trying to figure it out. Well, we did one on Thursday to try to figure it out. We tested it yesterday because we wanted to be ready for when you come on, and then we got more live streams with collaborators coming up. So we want to make sure that we put out good content and that we don't screw the person over that we're collaborating with.
Yeah, because we got Jason from New 80s going to be on New 80s Revolution is going to be on Tuesday at 7:30.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, and Nate wants to know, did you really say 20,000 books?
So I'm guessing at 20,000. It might be closer to 30. So I know that I have 150 boxes.
Oh wow.
Okay.
So that's a lot of comics.
Yes, it is.
And Kay Munin, before you get started, wants to see that JoJo comic right behind you.
He said that JoJo really.
It's on the top, on the other side,
upper left hand.
Upper left.
This one.
Yeah, caught his attention there.
And
this is Jack Kamen.
Oh wow, that is nice.
That is nice. Yeah.
Look at that rich cut. Hold on, I'm gonna try and give me a minute. Big. I'm gonna try and make you big.
Okay.
Oh, no, wrong one.
The other one.
Wrong one. Okay.
I always have this problem too when I
don't know what I'm doing.
I can see that. You click on me. Click on me.
I did. It didn't do nothing. Okay, hold on. Let me try it again.
Okay, we're gonna try this again.
Oh no! Oh God. Well, we're not gonna worry about it. How about that?
Oh, no, hold on.
Oh wait. Put it in solo layout. We got it. We figured it out.
There.
That was good. It takes a few tries. Yeah, this is a Jack Kamen cover. And this is a character known as Rula. And the guy in the background is JoJo.
Oh, okay.
The Congo King.
Rula, because I know you've shown a lot of hers before. Isn't she Jungle Girl?
She's kind of like a jungle girl. Yeah, she was actually an American that crashed in the Congo and became this jungle girl. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's kind of funny. JoJo is pretty crazy. I actually am getting the whole run. I'm only missing one issue right now.
Oh wow.
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. It's pretty outrageous stuff though. You gotta. It's pretty over the top what they have. Like they have like guys like their eyes are getting poked out. Virgin sacrifices and a whole bunch of great stuff.
Okay, so everybody says it looks like we're coming through pretty good.
JoJo would be golden age.
Yes. This is like 1948.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I guess we're ready to get started. We got a bunch of people in, so as people trickle in, we'll just say hello to everybody and recognize them. But show us some of your PreCode Horror books. We want to see that goodness because I love.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll start off with one of my favorite artists from the Golden Age. And since I showed the JoJo, I'm going to show you something that's kind of related to JoJo.
Okay.
There's an artist known as L.B. Cole.
Oh, I love L.B. Cole. Hold on, I'm gonna make it.
There you go.
Yeah, he got the rights to reprint like a lot of those JoJo comics. And what he did was he would reprint them inside of these ones, the Terrifying Tales. But then he would put like these PreCode Horror kind of covers on them.
Oh.
So he would do his own covers, and his covers were kind of brilliant. So these are actually reprints, but they had just amazing covers. Like, you can see the, kind of psychedelic like covers.
Yeah.
And I'll show you a few just from that run because there's like a lot of really, really great ones. So he did Terrifying Tales, and it was kind of like they kept on changing the name between Terrifying Tales and Terrors of the Jungle.
I love the colors on that.
Yeah, so these are like all LB Cole covers. This one's a little bit faded. It's got, you know, but
Yeah.
it's still. And then I'll show you a bunch because they're quite great.
And what year is this?
So this would be in the like early 50s.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So
So like 52, 53. Yeah. And then this one's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh, look at that guy. What is he on fire?
Yeah.
Yeah, his face is kind of like burning or something. It's kind of weird.
Oh. Yeah, that looks good.
And then so these are all like, as I said, it was Star Publications and it was owned by LB Cole. And he would basically reprint stuff from the earlier, you know, jungle related comics like JoJo and stuff like that. And there's just like a whole bunch, like, you know, here's the, so these are LB Cole.
Uh-huh.
And it's, you know, that kind of style, that kind of jungly girl style. Another really great artist for you know, sort of these golden age pre-code horror ones was an artist named Maurice Whitman, and he did a series. He did the covers for a series called Ghost, and these are kind of ghost comics. It's kind of like, you know, the Phantom kind of thing.
Someone asked what issue number was that Terrifying Tales?
He showed a couple of Terrifying Tales.
Oh, I showed like I just showed the whole run. I have the entire run of Terrifying Tales, by the way. Which one?
Well, you showed like 3 of them, didn't you?
I showed like about 10 of them. So there's this one.
What number is that?
No, I think it actually says Terrifying on the cover.
Yeah. Oh, Terrifying. Okay,
Yeah.
so there's a few Terrifyings, and then there's a few Terrors of the Jungle. So this is Terrifying Tales.
Mm-hmm. What number is
this
that?
This is a bondage cover, and it's number good question, number 14.
Oh, okay.
So Terrifying Tales and Terrors of the Jungle are the same series. They just kind of changed the name and kind of went between the two names. Yeah.
That was a common practice back then.
Yeah. The funny thing is they went back to the other name afterwards. So they went back to Terrors of the Jungle afterwards. But there was a couple issues that are Terrifying Tales. And actually, the first one, I think that he might have been interested in the number 11.
Yeah, I think that might be the one.
Okay, number 11.
This is kind of one of the more famous ones.
Okay.
And there's also one that was mentioned in The Seduction of the Innocent, which is number 15, which I didn't bring, actually, strangely enough. But as I was saying, I was going to show you some Maurice Whitman. I'm not sure if you guys like Maurice Whitman, but I like Maurice Whitman. So, and he did this series called Ghost Comics. Yeah. I have the complete run of Ghost Comics.
Oh wow!
Yeah. One of the series that a lot of people, when they first get into pre-code horror, is Ghost Comics. It's kind of like the entry point that a lot of people use. Like if you're interested in sci-fi, people will go into Planet Comics. Well, Ghost Comics is kind of like the pre-code horror entry point.
Okay. I got a couple of ghost books. I think I got like
those are probably you might be thinking the Bronze Age ones.
Oh, okay.
Because there's another title like this is what was the company? It's Fiction House.
Okay.
But some of the covers are quite crazy. Like this one's quite cool. It's got like a whole bunch of dead people. Like,
oh yeah, that is
man and guy operating on the woman in the back,
and a hanging man too.
Yeah, there's a drowned person. See the guy in the mask?
Yeah,
in the corner.
So
yeah, I don't know. So that's Ghost Comics. So that's one of the. There's a whole bunch. Like there's 10 in the series for that. Actually, I'll just show you. And things that you look for if you're looking for golden age pre-code horror covers, always like things that people collect are like skeletons. Like they like skeletons, skulls, stuff like that. So this is a good example of that. But PreCode Horror was not just limited to you know, these sort of small publishers that we're not as familiar with now. Marvel through Atlas. This is Atlas.
That's right.
Yeah.
So this is a Marvel production. This is Adventures into Terror. It's kind of a cool one. You got the skeleton hands coming out of the grave.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So I have a ton of Marvel stuff.
People don't realize a lot of those Marvel titles like Journey into Mystery and things like that, they didn't start off superhero books at all.
Yeah, I mean, they were really trying a bunch of different things. So Marvel, you know, they started out with like, you know, Marvel Comics, which was actually superheroes, you know, with the Human Torch and all those characters. But then they tried other things because they saw that the market was going that way, right?
Yeah.
And like during the late 50s, or not late 40s, early 50s, PreCode Horror was really dominating, especially with EC comics. I actually brought a few EC books as well if you want to see some of those.
Somebody wanted to know what's the main consistency of your comic genre, of your collection genre wise, you know, Golden Age, Atomic Age, Silver. What do you have the bulk of?
So I was kind of sorting out all my books. I have about 1,000 Golden Age. But so most of my collection would be like modern, and also I have a huge Warren collection. Like that collection alone is 10,000 books.
Okay.
Oh my God.
So yeah, so that's.
Now I heard you talk about the Warren collection before, and yeah, I had asked, but somebody else responded. What exactly is that? Because when I typed it in, somebody else responded, and I wanted you to show some of the books on one.
I'd have to grab those ones, but
they're not there.
Yeah, so they're like I actually have a special room just for my Warren collection, or special. Oh, wow. It's like my closet actually. Special closet for it. But it's packed. It's packed. Okay. It's got like about 20 boxes just.
Oh, well, don't worry about it.
Yeah, but it includes like Vampirella, Famous Monsters, Creepy, Eerie.
So they're mainly the magazine books.
They are all magazines, yeah.
Okay, okay. I got it now. I got an idea what it is, because I know what those are, but I didn't realize they were called Warren books.
Yeah, the Warren Publishing was the name of the publisher.
Okay.
So I call it my Warren collection. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
But it's like I was really into the Bad Girls of the 90s, like that kind of comic. Mm-hmm. And then I really got into Vampirella, and then I was like, oh, Vampirella, and then I sort of became obsessed with trying to get the complete Warren collection, like everything that they ever produced.
Oh wow.
And so I managed to do that for the American side. And then I was like, oh, where do I go? And then I started getting all the European and then Asian. So I got all the Japanese collection. I got all the British collection. I got all the Spanish collection. You know,
oh, wow.
It's just sort of ballooned where I got a huge collection. And then I got all, also I got all the toys and paraphernalia that they produced. So
another question here is, out of all of your collection, which comic or series is your favorite?
If that's even possible. I know that feeling because people ask me all the time, and I'm like, oh crap, where do I start?
Yeah, I it's really based on the day. Some days I like some books more than others. You know what I mean? Like you sort of have like, and whenever I get new books, I sort of all excited about those books. I keep on showing the same books over and over again. There's a book that's in my office actually that I'm super excited that I got today. It just came literally today, which is the first appearance of the Tasmanian Devil.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually a really cool book because he's literally on the cover, he's eating his friends, which is kind of a cool cover. So yeah, so you know, I was super excited about that. But you know, I'm really happy to be getting my, like, I'm one book away now from completing my Wonder Woman collection. So, you know, I'm going to have the complete run of Wonder Woman. So that, to me, is like the thing I'm excited about right now, I guess. So
what year is that though? Because I know they're still making Wonder Woman. Are you talking about the full run of gold and silver?
Yeah, there's multiple series for Wonder Woman. Right now they're on series 3, I think it is. Series 2 or 3. So I'm talking about the first series that ran from the Golden Age all the way up to the Copper Age.
Okay, because I know you got number 1. That's like your prized possession.
Yeah. So there's like 329 books in the Wonder Woman first series.
Okay.
So I'm just missing one. And I'm trying to get the guy to kind of, you know, there's a guy that has it. I'm trying to negotiate with him to get it. So it's really annoying. He wants 4 times the market value, just a little bit more. So I'm like, that's not quite real. I don't know. I always feel like, you know, I'll haggle with people, but not like, I don't want to get ripped off. So yeah.
Sure.
And somebody want to know what kind of toys did they make out of? I know the Vampirella, you got a statue.
Yeah, so they would they teamed up with other companies. Warren would do this. They would team up with in terms of toys, they would team up with Aurora. I'm not sure, you're probably familiar with Aurora, right?
Yeah, model kits.
The model kits, right? So they did a Vampirella one through that, and they had like some monster related ones. But they weren't really, the monster related ones were more Universal Monsters, which is a different company. But they did have the Vampirella one. And I have the Vampirella box and the original Vampirella doll and all that kind of stuff. But they also did like rings, they did underwear, they did t-shirts, they did posters. They did these dirt pin necklaces that you can wear, and they would have dirt inside them from Dracula's tomb.
Oh yeah, I remember those.
So I have like a bunch of those. What?
Oh, it was full of soil.
Did they do one with blood in it?
No, nothing like that. But they did. You know, they were you know, they would say, oh, real gold necklace with the dirt from Dracula's, you know, Transylvania, right? Yeah, and it's like, and you get it, and it's like one of those necklaces. If you wear it, probably your neck would turn green. You know, and like it pinches. Like I actually tried to wear it because I thought, oh, this will be so cool, and like, you know, it's the little coffin is like so plasticky, and like just like the dirt falls out. it's like the worst toy ever. You know, but it's fun. So I have a bunch of those. You know, and then, you know, they produced a lot of cool stuff. Like, you know, so I picked it all up. The rings are kind of cool, actually.
Okay.
So they have these gold rings. They charged like a fortune for them. They're quite rare because nobody would pay. Why would you pay like $20 for something that you can probably get in a Cracker Jack machine, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty crazy. So I have a bunch of that stuff. I even have Warren. They would have these contests that they would run for movie scripts. And they wanted to produce some movie that you could win. Oh, we're gonna make a movie. I have some of those original scripts that they had.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so, you know, some cool things that I picked up over the years. I sort of was buying stuff directly from Forrest J. Ackerman and from William Dubé. So Forrest J. Ackerman was one of the founders of the company. So I was really into like meeting with all these different people, but I never met them. I just would write to them, get their toys. So yeah.
Somebody wants to know, do you collect pinups like Betty Page and Marilyn Monroe?
Yeah, so that closet over there is my Warren collection. That closet over there is all my pinups and my kind of more adult risque stuff. I'm gonna put a lock on that one so the kids don't get in there. So yeah, I have like a complete Betty Page collection. I have her first comic appearances and everything, just the complete collection of Betty Page. Big fan of Betty Page. Also, I collect men's magazines, like not Playboy or those kind, but more like the pinup style comics with Peter Dribbin art. Okay. He's a really great pinup artist. So I'm gradually getting a collection of that. It's like
somebody wants to know which issue of that Wonder Woman was it that you were missing.
If I say, you can go to eBay now and stop me. So I'm not gonna. I can't say. It's a surprise.
Oh, I see. Okay. No, that's all right.
It's available right now, but I don't want people to stop me from getting my collection. So yeah, it's just one issue. Yeah.
So you have that whole run through when Diana Prince decided she wasn't going to wear the costume anymore.
Yeah,
in the mod era.
Yeah, I like actually. I think those are funny. Like they're pretty crazy. Yeah, I had that.
Dressed like Maud, Twiggy, and Barbie.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they didn't do it for very long. It was not that many issues, but I think they realized that it didn't sell comics that much. But the funny thing is, when she went mod, when she went into the 60s sort of phase, there was so many bondage covers at that time.
That's right, yeah.
Which is so contradictory.
I think the most famous one is the one with the henchman, right? I know that one.
Yeah, there's one where she's kind of like this, and like it looks like she's been whipped or something.
There's
crazy.
a guy in the background, and he's got a hatchet, or he's got yeah.
So I mean, like you think about that, and it's sort of contradictory to the whole like liberated woman kind of thing.
Modern woman, let's tie her up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. So Wonder Woman's a very interesting series. So so I have all those. My Wonder Woman is over there. I have like I didn't have enough room in this room yet until like things are built in to store everything. So I have like another room that I've sort of taken over where I put all those books.
Oh, okay.
So it's filled with boxes right now.
Oh, Robert Maud, M-O-D, and it was a style of dress in the 60s. It was very popular.
Yeah.
He was like, it's M-O. If you look up M-O-D Maud style, you'll see what I'm talking about. If you
they wear like the high boots, the short skirts. It's like a certain style.
Think of the women in Austin Powers.
I was just gonna say that. I was just gonna say Austin Powers is the perfect example of it.
Okay.
But mod style is kind of cool, actually. I like it.
All right, we can see
now that we sidetracked you enough.
I know.
Yeah, totally off topic. Okay.
You're okay.
That's fine. So I was just showing some random stuff, anyways. So let me see. I'm debating about what to show you guys. I'll just grab, like, I brought a ton of stuff. So literally I brought like maybe about, in terms of PreCode Horror, I brought maybe about 300 books I could possibly show you. But I'm just going to show you some random ones.
Wow,
Weird Terrors. This is a Don Heck cover. So with PreCode Horror, if you ever try to collect it, look for the different artists. There's certain artists that people will go after. Don Heck is one of them. L.B. Cole, Matt Baker. What's his name? I want to say. I'm blanking on the guy's name, but there's a bunch of PreCode Horror artists that people kind of seek out. Like Maurice Whitman is another one, but that's not the one I was thinking. And I brought a bunch of these Atlas ones. Now these ones, these ones actually go for pretty big money, but I didn't spend much to buy these. Like, you know, and they actually this is the coded version. This is in code.
Mm-hmm.
This would be considered Atomic Age. And then we got some more. This is all my Marvel ones. This is like a guillotine cover.
Yeah.
So another thing that you look for is people getting killed on a cover. If it's like a guillotine hanging, you know, stuff like that, people like that. So
hey, her dress is green.
I know.
The woman
What's wrong with her? She's out. She's in the. Somebody didn't give her the memo that she should be wearing red. But she's not in trouble. Maybe that's why. So,
yeah, maybe.
And this is another really great one. This is another LB Cole.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, it's kind of the opposite of what's that story? Something Gray. Dorian Gray.
Dorian Gray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dorian Gray, where you know the painting stays young, and you know, or his painting gets old, but he stays young, I should say.
Yes.
And I even have this one. I've heard, like, I showed this once, and so many people afterwards picked it up. So this is kind of a funny one.
Oh, this is kind of neat.
Yeah, this is a 3D one.
In 3D. Does it have the glasses?
I don't think so. That's why I got it really cheap. Like I paid $50 for this.
Still.
Yeah.
So I thought, yeah, it was really great. And then we got some more. I believe this is Atlas. One sec here. I'm just looking at this. This one's kind of suspense.
Oh yeah.
A lot of like graveyard related kind of covers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And this one is not. This is sci-fi, but it's just got mixed in, so I'm just going to show it anyways.
Oh, that's
this is Wally Wood cover.
Mm-hmm.
Mars Attacks.
Yeah, and this is just a really, you know, he always does his aliens kind of interesting way. You know? Yeah. And then this is a George Orlando. These were just mixed in. I just figured they're really great though. I love. You'll notice that even my horror stuff has a very good girl art feel to it because that's what I sort of gravitate to.
I like how he has fins on his pantaloons there.
Yeah. No,
yeah.
Stabilizers.
Yeah, you gotta have that, right? So I don't know, they're kind of cool. So I'll show you another series that if you can get anything from this series, they have value. They're quite rare though to find.
I ain't that one.
This is Mr.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
This is kind of a crazy cover. You know, like the guy's literally getting put into that's a barrel of acid. So, you know, so pretty crazy cover. So this is like from 1953. You'll notice that if you find PreCode Horror, the more valuable issues are usually 53, 54.
Yeah.
From those era. Because what happened was that was when they were just getting more and more bold with what they would do on the covers. They were always trying to up the game.
Yeah.
And a lot of those books got mentioned in the Seduction of the Innocent and, you know, led to the end of the Golden Age because people were like, oh, this is just too much. Why are they showing?
Here's the thing for Nate here because he has a comment about that. Keep in mind, Nate, mostly it was adults reading this stuff. Kids read Daffy Duck. So that the person who wrote Seduction of the Innocent and started that whole thing with the with Congress, he just had a grudge.
Yeah, he definitely had a grudge against Congress.
Yeah, so that's not, you know, you didn't have your average kid running around just willy-nilly.
I'm gonna actually show you a series that's actually not really PreCode Horror, but it's often associated with PreCode Horror, and it's called Punch.
Oh, Punch Comics.
And what I always tell people is this is actually not PreCode Horror, but it is got the like similar to the way I was showing with the jungle terrors of the jungle. Like, so the stories inside, like it has a pre-code horror like cover, you know, like the style, you know, skeleton hand, graveyard, stuff like that. But the stories inside were often like very interesting. They would have like cartoon stories, they would have detective stories, they would have superhero stories. So it was just a mix inside the books. But often people think of Punch Comics as being one of the earliest pre-code horror books, but it isn't. Just this is, but it does have that pre-code horror like cover. So I'll show you another Punch comic that's really great. One sec here.
No, Johnny, a lot of the stuff that he's showing you're probably not going to see on the wall in your average comic convention.
No, these are quite rare.
Yeah, he's got some really tough ones to find.
You won't even see those in the comic shop.
This one is in really rough shape. I picked it up just because I could barely find it. I just picked up the only comic. So the only reason it's a 0.5 is the spine is completely shot. But the cover actually presents reasonably well. The reason a lot of people seek this book, this is a highly sought after book, is it is kind of got that horror-like element to it. The bird is like holding a whole bunch of victims in his hands. You can kind of see that.
He's got chicks to feed.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, one of the girls is nude.
Oh yeah.
So she's topless. This girl right here.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, you can see.
And yeah, so you can see boobies in the golden age. That's really rare. That's really rare. So this book is highly sought after for that reason. Because it like.
When did they start?
Well, there's a question. We'll let Alan answer this. He's the expert here. He says, when did they start regulating that content then? And I know you know that whole story.
So so what happened was the Seduction of the Innocent got written in 1954. Well, it was published, I should say, in 1954. Literally 2 months after the book came out, it was like a sensation. It was a bestseller. Basically, it created a panic in and there was people like upset before even. Like it wasn't just that book. That book was sort of like the straw that broke the camel's back. So Kay Fowler was a politician who wanted to make this his road to getting to presidency. He wanted to, use this as like a stepping stone. So he had what was called the Senate hearings. And basically, they brought in all the publishers to talk about the effects comics were having on kids. So that was 2 months after the book had been released. It was just like, it was the thing that just, lit the fire.
Sounds like a setup to me.
What?
It sounds like a setup to me.
It was pretty much. And then what happened was, William Gaines came in and he was talking about, different books, and how, he thought they were done in good taste, but what happened was they showed, and I could bring it, but they showed the very famous cover where it's the decapitation cover.
Yeah.
And the guy's literally holding the girl's head in one hand and then an axe in another. And you see the body, that it is truly a decapitation, that the body is, on the ground and her head is in the air. He said it's been tastefully done because, you don't actually see that it's severed. There's no blood dripping down. The axe, they actually made the blood on the axe black instead of red, just to try to like tone it down a bit. And the severed body, you don't see that the head has been removed from it. Just the way it's laid out. But because he said that this horrific cover was, not that bad. Was pretty, pretty tame. People had it became national news. Like everybody got freaked out by that, because like if this is the moral standard that they're sticking with, then probably comics are too extreme, and people wanted censorship. So what ended up happening was all of the publishers gathered together, and they said, we gotta, and it was actually William Gaines that said, hey, he realized that he had really fumbled in what he said at the Senate hearings. And he said he gathered them together to kind of create like their own code of ethics, and Comic Code Authority was created. However, the funny thing was, even though he was the one that brought everybody together, he didn't take an active role in it. And so publishers like DC and Marvel, and they basically saw it as an opportunity to get rid of EC and any competitors.
Yeah.
And what they did is it was very political at that point. So what they did was they had things like that were weird, because you couldn't use the word weird. You couldn't use the word weird or eerie, or different words were not allowed on comics anymore.
Oh.
And if you look at a lot of the words that they said that you're not allowed to use, well, those were the titles of a lot of EC publications. So basically, overnight, EC Publications was almost put out of business. And if it wasn't for Mad Magazine, which they actually made more money on than they did with EC Publishing, they would have been totally gone. But they actually did very well with Mad. So what happened was...
interject really quickly, because it's something I was thinking about, but Collecto 6 already brought it up, and this is part of the reason why you can always find Dell publications, but it's so hard to find this other stuff, is because they burned a lot of them. They had
they had
public burnings. And the irony, of course, of that is that's one of the things that the U.S. government condemned the Nazis for. Before.
I know, it was very, very fascist.
Yeah. But it's okay if we do it.
Yeah, it's okay when we do it. It's okay when we burn the books. It was
part of the reason why it's so hard to find a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there was other reasons as well, but the book burnings did definitely with a lot of the PreCode Horror. That's what happened, because PreCode, like during the war, like a lot of the golden age was lost due to the war, the Second World War, where you'd have like paper drives and stuff like that. But the PreCode Horror, which was after the war, like PreCode Horror is really like late 40s, early 50s. A lot of that was destroyed through these, like they would have bonfires where kids would throw their books onto the, it was just, it had the same feel, same lust for destruction that the Nazis did with their book burnings. It was, in my opinion, very bad.
Yeah.
And you see the same thing happening again. They're going through and they're scrubbing words out of books like David just did.
Roald Dahl. Yeah, I thought that was really bad.
They're going to censor his titles now. The publisher's doing it. It's like,
what they're doing is they rewrite it to make it more friendly. Personally, I think that dulling of literature is doing more harm than benefit. Not like it's bad that there's censorship, first of all, but what happens is, as a child, like when you read something, you kind of want there to be something that kind of triggers your mind, like try like to make you think a little bit differently, like when we hear, like the reason this, if you look at like not nursery rhymes, but like the Mother Goose stories are stories that you tell to kids, like Three Little Pigs or Goldilocks or those kind of stories. The original versions that were meant for kids were pretty violent, pretty horrific.
The Grimm's fairy tales. Yeah.
Yeah, and what it did, well, the reason it was done like that was, kids like that. There's some excitement to that, and it really makes whatever message is being put in those stories, like, listen to your parents, be wary of strangers. It makes those stories have more impact. But when you like sort of numb it down a bit, it loses the impact. So when Roald Dahl was writing about witches, he wanted them to be wicked and evil. And when you kind of make them more like just, I don't know, blandish bad guys, it doesn't have the impact. Do you know what I mean? So I really see it as a negative thing where the message is kind of lost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wizard of Oz was pretty violent book if you actually read the book. It says Johnny Future.
I read the original Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Tin Man, I think he killed an entire, 80 or 100 wolves, and he hacked them to death with his axe in one of the scenes.
Yeah.
There was a lot of that. So yeah, it was a lot of violence in the book.
Yeah.
Another question that came up earlier, I didn't want to forget to ask because I think I saw it on your video. Do you have any top 10 videos out there on your channel?
Oh, top 10.
Yeah, lots of top 10 videos.
Yeah, and I thought so. So
do check that out.
Yeah, Black Knight asked that question. If you go to his channel, he has a lot of content.
Yeah,
so you will find top 10. I think a top 100 or 50, something like that.
Yeah, I did the top 100.
Top 100 in your collection. So it's a lot of stuff. I suggest please go to Alan's channel, subscribe, and look through his history, his archives, and see what's out there.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, and I always wonder about my unboxings. Like, I always feel like people should go back and watch my old unboxings and stuff like that, because there's so many great things that I show in the unboxings, but I find that people never rewatch my unboxings, which I always kind of wonder about, but they're quite good, actually.
Okay, let's get back to you got something.
No, go ahead. No, I was gonna suggest, because I know he's like sitting on a throne of comics.
Oh there. Yeah, before you get started, that power book, the power book you got right there.
Yep, this is another LB Cole.
Hold on, I got to make it big.
This is LB Cole.
Oh.
Yeah, that's
so
neat.
A lot of the time I'll buy books with the purple label, just so you know, and that's just so that I can afford them. But when you get into this low grade, actually the percentage of savings, like where they like the reduction in value is actually very little, because 0.8, 1.8 grade restored or blue label is almost the same thing.
Sure.
But I picked this one because it presents really, really well, even though it's low grade.
Yeah, and that's something to consider a lot of times, because there's so many different factors in the grade, but you can have a low grade with a really glossy cover or a really smooth cover that's still great when you put it up.
It presents real well.
Yeah, I really like this one. It's it's kind of one of those. So a lot of people get upset about these kind of books where in the past they wouldn't necessarily reflect the different ethnicities that well. This is one of those ones where the Asian kid has like the buck teeth.
I love the name of the kid too. It's on there, right?
Yeah, it's like Chin Chop.
Chin Chop.
So I always I always find them funny and interesting. It's a different time. I don't try to pass judgment. I don't it was a different time. Like my half my family's Asian now, so
sure.
I can't really but my son would love that. He's he likes to make fun of Chinese people all the time, which is kind of funny. It's one of those things. So yeah, and my son is half Korean, so he's like, yeah, it's kind of weird. So yeah, so
Let's
but
look
yeah,
at
it's a very
books.
Oh,
yeah.
no,
I'll show you some books
he's here.
instead of offending your whole audience here. So I'll show you. I'm going to grab a stack here. Okay.
Oh yeah,
So,
I'll ask that in a little bit,
Johnny. Yeah.
because he's getting ready to show some books.
Okay.
So
what was the question?
Oh, what's your favorite Universal monster cover?
Oh, Universal monster cover?
Yeah.
So when I think of Universal monsters, I think of the movies, like so Dracula, Frankenstein, all those kind of characters, right?
Yeah.
Personally, I know this sounds weird. Of all the characters, even though I like Dracula and all those ones, I actually, in terms of comics, I like mummy covers.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I really love mummy covers. I don't know why. It's just a thing. I always thought they were cool. And there's one that I'm going to get soon. It literally just got shipped out to me today.
Okay.
It's actually a very famous EC cover. I think it's Origin of the Crypt Keeper as well. It's like a mummy cover where the mummy's on the front. It's done by Johnny Craig cover. It's a really great cover. I think it's Tales of the Crypt. I forgot what number. I'm trying to blank. But it's just a really great cover with a mummy on it. That's one of my favorite covers.
Yeah, so, I'm working on my Living Mummy set. The Living Mummy. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's another cool. I have the first appearance of the
Supernatural thrillers, right? Yeah, supernatural thrillers.
Yeah. The Living Mummy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. It was kind of sad. Like there was a movie that they made where they were going to bring all those characters back. What was it? I forgot. Was it The Mummy or what was it called? Where they brought, they had all the kind of characters in it. It had Tom Cruise in it.
I don't know. I don't know what movie you're talking about.
Somebody will know.
Yeah, somebody in the chat.
It was a really great movie. Well, it wasn't really great. It did very badly at the box office. And because of that, they decided they weren't going to move forward with bringing back all the Universal monsters. But it had like a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It had all the kind of characters. It was not League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. It's not that movie. It's a different movie. But it was interesting. And one of the bad guys was the Mummy. So oh well, just as a side. So there's a couple like titles that I kind of want to teach people about. One is Witch's Tales. So this I got from Heritage, so that's why it has a little sticker on it. But this is a really great series. There's a few books in this title that are really, really expensive. But any of the books outside of that, those few expensive ones are actually fairly affordable. So you can pick these up for like $100 to $300 range. Kind of, which is affordable. Like I know that sounds expensive, but the key issues in it go for like thousands of dollars. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So to find like issues that are as cool, in my opinion. Look, he's got like his brain thing going on there. They have brains in jars and stuff like that.
Dr. Bad vibes.
Yeah, but Dr. Bad vibes from Cops.
Cops, because you could see his brain.
He had his brain in a dome.
Yeah. Well, it's actually kind of funny. If you read the different ones, it's Criminal Brain, it has President Brain, and Author's Brain.
Oh, I guess he put the wrong one in. Because Criminal Brain is the one that's empty.
Yeah, it's funny. So he put the wrong brain in. If he had just put the Author's Brain in there, maybe it would have been more interesting. Okay, so there's that. And I'll show you another one from Witch's Tales. This is another Witch's Tales.
Oh, that looks great.
So it's like the subway ride with all the zombies. So that's kind of a cool one. And another title that I really like is Witchcraft.
Oh, Yeah.
This has some really great covers. I have a bunch from this.
She doesn't look very shocked.
Yeah, no, she's very casual, actually.
She's kind of fixing her hair and.
I know, she looks too casual.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
A headlight cover there.
Yeah, another very affordable title is A Nightmare. Now, there are a few key issues. This is, yeah, it's just, this is Nightmare #1, I believe. Just kind of a cool mummy cover. Another one that can get expensive, and this is actually one of the more expensive issues, is this is like crime related, but it's kind of got that pre-code horror feel.
He got a rock tied to his neck.
Yeah, so she just murdered this guy, and she's about to get murdered too. So it's kind of like
double whammy.
Yeah.
And this is actually a Matt Baker. This is Journey into Fear. And got the girl in the red dress, which is always good.
Yeah. Damsel in distress.
Damsel in distress. And here's another. She's not quite wearing full red, but she's wearing a bit of red. Chilling Tales. This is actually a classic cover with the skeletons kind of luring her in, dropping her in. Another cool one is Dark Mysteries.
Oh yeah, Water Wheel.
Yeah, it actually looks like the same girl if you look.
Yeah, because he got on the same green skirt.
Yeah, like the green and the red. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Looks like the same girl.
And the Dark Mysteries, it looks like it's part 2 because now the sleeves are torn off.
Yeah, exactly. It's a little bit more. They're just having fun with this one girl. I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's kind of interesting. And this is one I just recently picked up, but this is Weird Thrillers, and the
mermaid.
This is actually from Ziff Davis. This is a series, like this title, this publisher. A lot of their books go really, really cheap. So you can pick up these. I think I paid like less than, I think it was like $50 to maybe $75 for this.
Okay.
So fairly, I mean, that's fairly affordable if you think about it for pre-code horror, and it's a really great mermaid cover too. And I really need to rebag and board this one. I'm just looking at this one that I have here. I haven't rebagged and boarded this. I have to do this. This is from a recent unboxing. I need to. Somebody put it in a Ziploc bag, and I gotta.
Oh wow.
I haven't gotten around to changing the bag yet. So this is actually the first appearance of Frankenstein. This is Classic Comics Frankenstein.
Oh.
And this is actually a first printing. With these Classic Comics, they had like maybe 20 printings. It was like crazy the number of printings. But this is a first print of the very first appearance of Frankenstein in comics. So kind of cool. And Classic Comics actually did a whole bunch of titles. They also did like So yeah, so those are.
I've never seen or heard of the Classic Comics. I'm gonna have to look that one up.
Yeah, there's some really great stuff.
Yeah, watching your videos really ruined my budget.
Yeah. I'm gonna actually show you a really kind of, and I forgot what channel I saw this on, but this is a kind of a major book that is completely under the radar, but has like possibly like one of the biggest impacts on pre-code horror of all comics of all time. Is this book?
Wow.
This is International Comics #4. And this is actually EC's first attempt at doing pre-code horror. So what happened was EC Comics was really trying to figure out what genre to go into. So they came out with this comic series called International Comics. It just sort of, and they wanted to test out different genres and see which one would sell the best. So they had like superhero, they had crime, and then they tried this one, which was pre-code horror, where it was like a horror title. And then based on this, they decided to try out going into the horror space. And that sort of set EC on that path of becoming the #1 company for, for horror in general. So that's International Comics #4. Very big book. And, I have a whole bunch of EC books. I want to show, wait one second here. I want to grab my, I have like a ton of EC books and they're all mixed up.
Okay.
So titles that people would know would be like Tales of the Crypt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Again, another guillotine cover. I actually like guillotine covers. I'm not sure why, but I think they're cool. So that's Tales of the Crypt. And then we got, I forgot who did that one. But okay, here's another guillotine one. This one he's getting actually kind of smooshed a bit.
Yeah, his whole body's in there.
Yeah, he's getting kind of, and it's down. The thing is down, so he's getting,
it's all the way down.
he's getting chopped. And then we got another title that's kind of famous for EC is Haunted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They have some really great ones. Oh, this is the other witchcraft that I wanted to show, actually. I have to organize these a bit better. They're all over the place.
She doesn't look very worried either.
Yeah.
I know. The girls are very casual. She's like, oh, this is like a spa,
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. It's like, why is she so casual? The guy's like totally freaked out. Look at the guy's face. He's freaked out. The girl's like, oh, it's not messing up my hair.
Are you going to be adding carrots or?
Yeah, I know. I mean, he does have a stir stick, which is kind of useful. So
yeah.
But it's weird. I don't know. The girl is just very casual. One sec here. I want to show more EC.
Okay.
One sec here.
Yeah. Nate is saying that he's hipping, that you hip everybody to a lot of covers. Since I've been watching Alan's shows, I write down a lot of the titles or the books and the numbers, and I go look it up and I try to get what I can. But Alan will cause you to go broke and probably go.
Yeah, don't try to keep up with me. I'm going broke. But this is another EC title.
Oh wow.
Vault of Horror. It's a very famous cover. It's like a bondage cover.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then we got another famous title is Crime Suspense Stories. This is the one, this is the title that was the one I was talking about earlier when I was mentioning The Seduction of the Innocent.
Yeah.
And this is the famous one because it's like the guy's like shooting his friend kind of thing.
Right in the back.
Right in the back.
An accident. He thought he saw
it was an accident.
Yeah.
He looked like a deer.
Coming right at me.
I saw a deer.
Yeah, he looks like a deer. Okay. And then actually a really cool one, and if you can find this one, it's a really hard one to find, is EC Classics. This is a 3D horror book from EC.
Yeah.
And there was 2 issues in the run. They went through different titles, and I managed to find both. I'll show you the other one. One sec here. Oh. Here's the other one. The other one's really cool. This is the Alpha.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish the 3D worked that well.
Yeah, I always thought whenever I saw 3D as a kid, I always hoped that it would be like that, where it'd come out of the page. Like, when I first saw the movie Jaws 3D, I remember like kind of trying to grab the different things, like, because back then the old style of 3D was much more like they would have like these things that would try to float out of the screen a little bit.
Oh yeah. They would throw things at you.
Yeah. It was very set up situations for the 3D to be used, but this has kind of got that feel to it. So this is a quite rare book, actually.
Yeah.
So this is actually kind of funny. It actually contains one of they would always come with 2 3D glasses, and this one only has one of those 3D glasses. So because of that, it's labeled as incomplete, but it still has the 3D glasses in it. So it's kind of weird. So So they're very strict on grading when it comes to whether or not it has the 3D glasses.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a lot of them couldn't have survived.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first thing that falls out of the book when you get it, right?
Yeah.
Actually, I was showing some Wally Wood earlier, and I just wanted to show one more really great Wally Wood book. This is actually a very important book. This is Weird Science number 16. And this is the one that actually led to Mars Attacks as a comic series, because people really loved this little helmet thing.
Yeah.
This bubble helmet. I always thought this was a really great one. This is like a major key because of, it's kind of like the first appearance of Mars Attacks.
It's like the prototype.
Yeah. So what happened was, like Wally Wood was one of those few artists that during his during the golden age, you really didn't get much fame as being an artist. Often they wouldn't even put your name on the cover. Like they wouldn't even give you credit. But with Wally Wood, actually, it was really interesting. What happened was he put his name on. He would actually sort of embed it within the cover, and people really gravitated to his art. So they would actually beg EC to get more Wally Wood's art. They would, they would write in saying, "Hey, we love his art," blah blah. And he was really a celebrity. So what happened was later on, I forgot what card. I think it was Topps or one of those card companies. They wanted to come out with a horror, like sci-fi card set. And they were really inspired by this comic, and they created the card set Mars Attacks. And that was, what really, threw him into that stratosphere of fame and the whole, sci-fi element. Like whenever we think of Martians, this is the way we think of them, right? With the little bubble helmets. It's kind of funny. But, so that's some of the EC stuff.
One of the
I can show a lot more.
Okay, yeah, we'll show some more. I just wanted to say, because this is a topic me and David was talking about. I just wanted to hear your thoughts. And Two Old Geeks is saying, how come covers are not as good? And we talk about it a lot, because if you look at the older, and not just pre-code horror, but all of the older comics, and compare them to modern comics, they don't have the same depth into it. It's like when you see a modern comic, it looks flat. It doesn't look like it has any depth.
There's no depth,
especially now with them, because a lot of them, they're not really drawing them anymore. They're doing it on a computer, and it's like, not that that's any easier, but you don't get any dimension to it that way.
Yeah, and you can't feel what you're seeing.
I'll show you like a modern book that I actually like. I actually like this modern book. This is a modern book I like. I actually think it's a great cover. It's the Star Wars one, right? Now, this is a great cover. Actually, I love this cover. I love the angles and everything. But you'll notice this is sort of typical of modern comics. You got the two characters. You got a very boring background. Actually.
Yeah.
And the only depth that you get is the fact that she's a little bit smaller than him. That's the only depth that you get. Whereas you compare that to, like, this is not the greatest of covers from the Golden Age, but this is like a hallway scene. You got sort of like, it kind of brings you into the comic more. There's like things happening on the walls. There's things happening in the foreground. There's things happening in the background. There's a lot more story kind of being told within within this one image.
Yeah.
And I think the modern artists don't really they have a tendency of doing almost like portrait work. Whereas the Golden Age artists were like, okay, we gotta create an image that is gonna tell enough story. It's almost like a trailer to a movie. They have to make it as exciting as possible so you go out to see the movie. Well, they would do the same with these kind of Golden Age books, where they would try to give you enough hints of what great story is going to be inside the book that you'd go out and buy it. And I think nowadays a lot of this stuff is very, as you said, very flat.
Yeah, it's nothing going on, because when you look at one of those pre-code horror, if you just look at the cover almost tells you the whole story. I mean, granted, yeah, it's more stuff going on in the book, but when you look at the cover, you can see a story going, like the one where the girl was connected to the wheel. And you're like, man, this girl is connected to the wheel. This guy is
what's
about
going
to do that. Yeah, now I want to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, you want to study it.
Yeah, you want to look at that, and you want to read the book to see what happened. But with that Star Wars, nothing about that made me say, let me open up this book and see what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great portrait.
Yeah.
It's a great, it has like, but there's nothing that's going to pull you in. In a way, like I find that's why I've moved more and more towards Golden Age, because I find that like modern books don't excite me the way the Golden Age do. Like I get really excited when I see a Golden Age cover.
It makes me one of the few modern people you see for doing that, if he's still even in the game, was Geoff Darrow. You remember Geoff Darrow? I think he did Hard Boiled for Dark Horse, I think, right?
Oh, okay.
That you every panel, I mean, you forget reading it. You stare at every panel for like 20 minutes just because there's so much going on. But you don't see a lot of artists doing that.
Yeah, it's like, just put something on the cover, make as many variants as you can. They use a lot of dark colors because, showing those books, you had a lot of bright colors, a lot of striking colors. And now sometimes it's like one color or real dark colors. There's nothing in there going on that say,
Yeah, I think that's the difference between the comic shop versus the newsstand.
Yeah.
What happens when you're on the newsstand, you have to use often you're like really competing for that attention of the reader, right? And you have to be as bright, you have to be as dynamic, you have to be as exciting as possible so that you can lure that person in. When you're going to a comic shop, you really don't. It's like things are given more space. You know what I mean? Like on a newsstand, there's books right up against your book, for example. Whereas in a comic shop, you get a full display for your comic, and it makes it a lot easier. But it also makes the people that are doing the visuals for those books a little bit lazier.
Yeah.
And I think the internal pages are even worse. The funny thing is that we think of the covers as being bad.
Yeah, I agree.
But the internal stuff is actually way worse.
Yeah, it is. It is.
The big thing that I always think when I think of Golden Age artists compared to modern artists is I think that modern artists are a bit lazy. And I don't mean that to be harsh to them, but back in the Golden Age, they didn't really respect the artists. And what they would do is they would just grind them. They would put them in a little room, probably put like shackles on their legs, and just have them just grind out as many comics as they could. And they would, but that process of being just forced to be creative, forced to be like, constantly producing, actually makes your skill go up a lot. And I think modern artists, I'll come up with a cover, once a month. It's just a different level. It's a different intensity that happens. So I think the modern artists have it a bit too soft, and that in a way kind of doesn't really inspire as much creativity. And
another thing I noticed about, and I'm not trying to slam modern books at all. I mean, I am collecting the Batmans.
Yeah, I mean, there's some great stuff.
It is some, but then I noticed too, some of them it looked like something I drew, and the whole book is like that, and you're like, this is awful art. But when you look at these older stuff, they had to be like top notch, the best.
Even
great.
the mediocre stuff you can't knock too easily.
Yeah, even
Yeah.
the stuff that's not so great was great compared to some of the things. 'Cause I've seen one book, I can't remember the name, but
I was thinking about the Joker. I just read the Joker recently, and the panels inside of that were just like, oh man, whose kid did they get to draw these? I was just like,
yeah, it's some of them.
Yeah, it's like Sunday comic strips from the newspaper.
Even Sunday comics.
Oh no, Sunday comic strips are way better.
Yeah, it's way better. I agree. But
it's like
one of the questions is, can you show that Torchy behind
the
you?
red one?
The red Torchy.
Oh, the red one. Good choice of Torchies to pick, by the way. You ever pick that? This is one of the few Torchies that's actually done by the creator. This is done by Bill Ward.
Okay.
Oh.
And he's the guy that created Torchy.
Yeah.
Well, that's
She's kind of wearing a sexy black dress. You know. Bill Ward's art is usually very sexual. You would have these kind of very slender legs, very pointy, like lots of pointiness to them. This is actually very tame for his art. Okay. So he later came out with a book called Scorchy, which is basically the porn version of this.
Oh.
So yeah, so it's kind of funny. But yeah, Bill Ward is very highly sought after artist. His original artwork, like, you know, just like sketches, can go for thousands of dollars.
Huh.
So very, you know, I collect his stuff. One of the things, if you ever want to collect Bill Ward, there's actually a way to get his stuff very cheaply. But I think it's one of those things that's gradually people are finding out about. So I'm giving this tip right now. This is a huge tip where you can find his stuff, like his artwork included in the comics, for like $15 to $20. And normally, you know, like if you like something like this is thousands, right?
Yeah.
To give you a sense. But if you want to pick up, if you like his artwork, you can look into like cartoon magazines, and a lot of them featured his stuff. So you just search, like, it's from the 50s, like cartoon humor. Just search that and then Bill Ward, and you'll find a lot of his stuff, and it's like pretty cheap. But when people know what it is, then they jack up the price. It's just crazy. But his stuff is really great. I really love it. You know, I have some pretty risque stuff from him, but it is pretty great. He really likes pointiness. It works.
That's a good point too. There, too, old Keith, and something I was thinking about too is if I see one more homage cover on anything, I'm gonna get sick.
So
enough with the homages already.
Yeah, I actually so I collect homage covers. But even I get annoyed by them. They get a bit obnoxious because they're not being that clever. They're not being that clever with them.
No, they're not. It's like the modern day movies and TV shows is all reboots of old stuff, remakes of old movies,
and not even good remakes. Like it's just,
they're horrible.
A couple of redos of ASM 300 is okay, but when we're on our 75th or 80th version
I don't know
of it.
Yeah, there's way too many. I can think of way too many.
You're just capitalizing on someone else's success at that point.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting though? Walt Disney came out with a bunch of homages recently. Within the Spider-Man title, they would have homages to Fantastic Four. I have it over there somewhere. But it's a really great cover where they have like Fantastic Four #1 homage, and it has like Mickey and and it's actually I don't mind. Yeah, what?
They did something like that with Warner Brothers recently, didn't they? DC.
Yeah.
Where they had
Daffy Duck and all those.
Yeah.
Those ones actually I don't mind, even though they're homages and it can get a little bit annoying after a while. Those I think are kind of cute, and they kind of the bit of tongue in cheek to them. I kind of like that. But when it's an homage where it's like straight up, like rip off of like the original thing, and it's like, okay, yeah, sure. Just like, Amazing Spider-Man 300, and it's another character in that same stupid pose with the same numbers around it and the circles.
Yeah.
That gets a bit overdone.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, onesie twosies is okay, but at the level that it's been getting done in the last, say, decade, it's really it's getting kind of silly.
Yeah. I mean, I think they're like, one of the signs of a dying art is when they do homages. Really, like when they just lack creativity.
Yeah. And again, it goes just like with TVs and movies. The entertainment industry, I always say, is totally bankrupt. They don't have any ideas. Anything new comes out, and if it is something new, it's horrible.
Or music. Show me a modern song that doesn't have a sample from something else.
Yeah. It's like, where are the composers and people? Oh, I'm so creative. I got all my creative juices going. But then when you listen or watch, it's a repeat of
what I think has happened. Like, this is something I think a few other creators have touched on this, YouTube creators. What I think has happened is, and I really saw this in the She-Hulk show. This is a little rant. I'm going to do a little rant. Sorry for the rant, but what I think has happened is you get writers nowadays and creators nowadays that have no life experience.
Yeah,
they're usually either single or they have cats. But they don't have life experience. They haven't gone to war. They haven't climbed a mountain or had some kind of crazy experience that when you're as a writer you can sort of pull into your writing. And have real, like, and also I find that Hollywood's very insular. Like, it's like all the same people talking to all the same people, and so they don't really know how real people act. If you ever watch the Robert Crumb like documentary about him, one of the things that he would do, and he would go around and he would look, like, he would actually just go around and he would draw the different things around him in the environment. He would draw all the little wires and stuff like that. He would try to find little pieces of the world around him. And another thing a lot of writers would do is they would sit down in a cafe and just listen to conversations and write them down. So they would get that real world experience and that real world way of talking and communicating, so that they could bring that into their storytelling. Nowadays, I feel like writers don't do any of those things. That the extra level of work where they actually see it as a craft that you have to build and grind to learn how to do it. I find nowadays they say, well, I took writing in blah, 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 therefore I'm a writing expert. It's like, no, you're not. They don't really have that experience. And I really feel like that, like, where they don't think things 100% through. And I find writing is very lazy nowadays, if that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. And you can see it when you watch an older movie of any kind.
Yeah. And it doesn't even have to be that much older, like 20 years ago level. Even.
Yeah.
It's like that.
You watch a modern movie and just listen to the dialogue. A good example, we love the Twilight Zone, the Rod Serling Twilight Zone.
Oh, yeah, that's brilliant.
And, we've seen it, the whole thing, several times.
Yeah.
And the way they talk on there is like, whoa. And
the dialogue's fantastic in a lot of those episodes.
Yeah.
But now we're watching the modern,
the 90s.
The one, it came out in the early 2000s with Forrest.
There's one in the 2000s that's super woke and it's painful to watch.
No, not that one. That one came out in the late 2000s. This one came out a little later, but it had Forrest Whitaker as the host. And it's not
I know those ones. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can tell just from the dialogue.
It's changing. Yeah,
it's changing. It's getting dumbed down.
The acting's not as good.
Yeah.
The storytelling's not as good. I mean, even the cinematography and having to work with the black and white spectrums and things on this Twilight Zone is remarkable in a lot of cases.
Yeah, I think what happened was, I'm not sure when this happened, but there was an idea that happened, and it was a single idea that we have to appeal to the masses. And what happened was they started dumbing down all of like the whole culture. Whereas like if you look at the Twilight Zone and shows that came out like 50 years ago, they didn't bother. They never talked down to their audiences. They always if they're gonna talk about something that's a little bit complicated, they just left it that way. And they let their audience rise up to the content. And people enjoyed that, actually. People loved that challenge and that, oh, these are really cool ideas. This is really, it's something that's interesting and engaging because it is something that's bringing you up to the level.
Yeah.
Whereas nowadays, they kind of bring the level down to the lowest level. And it's like, man, you'd have to be a moron to enjoy that. It's like, is like the dumbing. It's they always talk about the dumbing down of America, but it is really painfully happening.
It is,
and not just here. Pretty much everywhere.
It's happening everywhere.
It's happening everywhere because American culture has been sort of exported all over the world. But actually, to kind of push back on that a little bit, if you look at what's hot right now and what people are really gravitating to, it's like Korean and Japanese stuff.
Yeah,
where they don't do that. Where they don't do that dumbing down. They tell a great story. They create great characters, and they tell the story that they want to tell. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Without all the agenda and pushing.
Oh, I hate the agendas. Don't get me going on that, but I'll go on forever about that. I'm very against agendas in entertainment. It should be entertainment, not not indoctrination.
You're supposed to escape to it, and they won't let you.
Yeah.
But you got more books?
I have more books. I have as many books as you guys can handle.
Okay.
So, so I'm gonna grab a bunch more here.
Okay.
So I'm gonna show you some more EC stuff.
Okay.
So this is Haunt of Fear. Okay.
Yeah.
This is like the typical oh, he's back from the dead kind of thing. That typical situation. The thing that I always liked about these books, especially, is they always had their narrators, the Crypt Keeper, the Old Witch, and the Vault Keeper. I always kind of liked those characters. This is actually the very first PreCode Horror book I ever bought, and this is Vault of Horror. It's like some kind of.
What is that? A sewer?
It's like some sludge monster or something like that, and it's like the guy's getting melted in it. Yeah, okay. This is the very first. I paid $20 for it.
Uh-oh.
Actually, I think I talked the guy down because I was really poor at the time. I think I talked him down to $15. So so this was my very first PreCode Horror book. I bought this way 30 years ago. So yeah. But I was super excited to get that one, by the way. Here's one of my favorite PreCode Horror covers. I always liked this. This was actually homage. We were talking about homages. This was homaged in The Simpsons. There's actually a Simpsons episode where it's Marge there and Homer's throwing the axe. So it's kind of cool. So yeah, I always liked that kind of stuff. And one sec here. There's one I'm trying to find. I want to show it. The problem is my stuff is so disorganized. One sec here. I got it. bear with me 2 more seconds. Okay, this one's actually a cool one. This is one actually that I actually just recently saw what this originally looked like. So this one, they redid it before they published it. And to Bill Gaines' credit, they really did try to tone down the horror. Like, this is actually considered tame compared. This is tame compared to what it was supposed to be.
Oh,
So
wow.
you see the guy with the axe, and it's like, it's like a coffin that he's kind of working at. Well, right here, they cut it off, but right here was actually he was hacking somebody's head. It's like,
oh wow,
and they're all bloody, like it's just and they're a mess. So that was the original cover. So this is the tame version. So, but it's still a great axe cover. This one they didn't tone down, and I'm just amazed that that this one got by. That they actually released this one. This is a guy committing suicide. That's his own hand, and you can see up here that's his brains getting kind of shot out. That's kind of a crazy pre-code horror. Very famous cover, actually.
Very calm looking wife in the background. No, Jim.
Yeah, she looked like
No,
she
don't do it. Don't do it. Please don't do it.
Oh no! Wait, stop.
I collect suicide and drug covers. I like.
Yeah, you were mentioning the drug covers recently.
Yeah, I'm collecting drug covers. I have only about 2 right now, but I'm getting.
Well, you have actually the big one, believe it or not. The one that you have.
I do.
That book has gone insane in terms of price.
Yeah, I have 2. It's another one that I want with Iron Man, and he has the alcohol, and he doesn't have the helmet on.
He's looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have that one.
I'm gonna start collecting suicide covers because I like suicide covers, and I saw one, and it's the Justice League, right?
No, it's the event. That one's actually pretty cheap, and it's the Avengers, and they're all rushing, and you see the back of a little kid, and the kid's got a pistol to his head.
Oh wow!
On an Avengers cover.
Yeah, it's an Avengers cover.
It's like a $5-10 book.
Yeah.
I'll have to look for that too. It sounds cool.
It looks really good.
Bronze. I forget.
Because you see all of the Avengers' faces, and their eyes are huge, and they're reaching out trying to get to the boy, and he got his finger on the trigger, and the gun's here, and he's
wow. That's crazy.
And they're like, we got to save this kid, and so I just love suicide. But I'm gonna make you big so you can go back to showing. But I
was just showing some random stuff. Okay. Yeah. So here's another title that I like. Beyond.
I love Beyond. I love that. That
I have a bunch from this run. A couple of these get really, really pricey. I actually got this one really cheap. Alex, the comic book quarter, was doing a claim sale. I got this
you told me about
$50 or something. It was like so cheap.
You told us about him, and I've been watching some of his stuff. I want to try a claim sale, but I'm too scared.
Yeah, no, he was pretty good. And then another title. This is another affordable pre-code horror title. So if you ever want to find affordable ones,
Baffling Mysteries,
Baffling Mysteries, very affordable, like $100 range. Like I think for me, anything in that $100 range is kind of super affordable. Well, like I'm used to things being like thousands of dollars. So
I got you.
Speaking of homages, by the way, that we were talking about before, and I'm not sure which one's first, but these are kind of like an homage to each other.
Oh yeah.
So this is BB Raiders.
It's not an exact copy.
It's
different.
It's basically the same.
Yeah, it's basically.
No, but what my point is, it's not an exact replica.
No, it isn't. But it is. You can see how even back then. I think this is more like that somebody stole the idea. I really like the way that looks. So yeah, I always like these ones. I actually like looking for those things where you find like those similar covers. One thing
hold on, David.
If you can see it.
Hold on, let me
It's Avengers number 218.
Okay, make yourself big.
Okay, let me see how I do that. Wait a minute.
Actually, I've seen that cover before. I know that book. I don't have it, but it's 218.
Yeah. 218.
Okay, I'll probably pick it up. Because I like those kind of things. I think they're like I like things that have that kind of cool.
It's got that edginess to it.
Yeah, and I like that too. Drugs, suicide. Did
you pick up the Spider-Man ones? The drug issues?
No, but I am. Even though I don't care for Spider-Man, I will get the drug issues because I'm getting the numbers down now, so I can start looking for them.
And the other one that you should pick up is Green Lantern. The speedy drug ones.
I have both of them. The Green Lantern.
Yeah.
I have both of those, and then I have the one from the EC comic one, Shock and Suspense. I have that one.
That's the big one.
That one is
Grail. That's Grail.
Mm-hmm. So I have those, and I'm working on getting some more. But
there's one that I should show you that's over there, but I'll show it to you later.
Okay.
It kind of like I always sort of go down rabbit holes. Okay. And so when you say drug ones, it kind of makes me think the hypodermic needle ones.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like there's so many really cool hypodermic needle covers. Like usually it's like some evil scientist and he's like gonna stab the girl with a hypodermic needle, or there's like the one where they're gonna put it in somebody's eye or something crazy.
Oh yeah.
But I
have
one
a video showing all of those.
Yeah, there's some really great ones. I have a few of them, not that many. They're really pricey, because the more extreme they are, the more pricey they are.
Yeah. Or red hot poker covers.
Yeah, red hot
poker ones are good too.
There's one that I'm really trying to get where it's like he's literally putting the poker into her face,
Into the. I thought you had the one where they were putting the poker in the eye because you can see the eyeball and the poker is right about to touch it.
Yeah, I don't have that one, but I know the one.
Oh, okay,
I don't have it.
Okay, because I know I saw somebody with it, and I thought it was you. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think the one that I think who has it is Automatic Comics.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has it, but that's a really pricey book. I actually tried to buy it a couple times. I was like, but it's always expensive. It's like, oh man, it's one that I'd love to.
I think that's Scorchy, Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny, it's Scorchy. You were talking
Scorchy.
about Scorchy.
Yeah, Scorchy.
You
so
did have
Scorchy, and then he kind of upped the game a bit and called it it was a one shot. Mm-hmm. It's called Scorchy. It's a really rare book. I have it, but it's pretty rare. You can buy it on eBay, usually around $75.
Oh, okay, that's not bad.
It's not too bad. It's a modern book. It's from the 90s or 80s, 90s, maybe earlier, something like that. 80s, 90s range.
You don't have it handy though.
Again, it's in my little.
Oh, okay. Well, he'll show it in another video, Johnny. So you're gonna have to watch.
You gotta watch every single one of my videos to find where I show that book. So.
And he'll show it. Or send him a message on a video, and he might show it on a Wednesday.
Actually, if you put on my Q&A video, my Wednesday video, say, "Hey, show this book," I will
show it.
He'll remember.
Yeah, he'll show it the next week. So if you go back and do it, then he'll show it. Okay,
I'm good that way.
Okay. Oh, Hank is here.
Hey, Hank, how you doing? All right, we're ready.
Are you ready for more? Okay. So another title that I was thinking of showing is just I'm going to show the run is Eerie.
Eerie, I love Eerie.
And then we got the girl in the red dress. She's also in like a little capsule like thing. What is that? I always like that.
Water?
I guess he's
filling it up with water or something.
Yeah, like you can see that it's getting filled up with water. You can see there's a girl behind that's kind of like already maybe kind of dead.
Yeah.
Slightly dead. And then we got, so that's number 1. And we got number 2. And some of these are like Wally Wood covers, and this actually came from somebody's personal collection.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of, I thought that was kind of funny. And then we got number 5. Some of them are slabs, so I don't have them handy. But
okay.
But and then we got number 6. It's just a really great little. It was I think it was 10. No, it's more than that. Like 20 some odd issues.
Mm-hmm.
I have all but one. I'm missing one issue of this series too. By the way, this one right here is kind of a major key. It's the very first appearance of Dracula in comics.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so that's kind
I thought he came out like earlier, like in the 30s or even earlier than that.
No, no, this is his first appearance.
Oh, okay, okay.
Like
No,
1950.
vampires, but not Dracula.
Okay.
Yeah, so Dracula.
Okay.
And then we got, this is a really good one. The 2 girls in bondage and then the creature. This one I actually bought 4 times before I actually got my copy. It got lost in the mail 3 times.
Oh no.
Oh no, did they refund you?
Yeah, I got refunded, but it was really annoying. So
yeah, it sounds like it.
And each time the price kept on going up too. So it just drove me crazy. I never thought I was going to get this book. And then this one's actually interesting. So remember this girl, okay? Try to remember this girl.
Okay. The girl in the red shirt.
Yeah, but remember her pose and stuff. I'm not sure. One sec here. Oh, and I might not have. Shoot. Okay. If you look at this title, I don't have the other slabs with me, but they recycle this girl. They actually use the exact same girl, same pose, same everything on multiple covers. It's really weird, but it's on the slabs. So I only brought the raws. Sorry. And we got this one.
Kitty.
Yeah. Actually, wait. Sorry. This is the first appearance of Dracula. That was the first. That was just. This is the first appearance of Dracula. So this is Dracula. See, it says Dracula there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's the first appearance of Dracula. And actually, this book always reminds me of Detective Comics. I think Detective 40. Is that right?
I don't know.
The one where it's like the castle, and Neil Adams later did homage to it.
Yeah, yeah. I know which one because I have the homage from Neil Adams.
Yeah. But doesn't it look like it? You know what I'm saying? Like instead of being Batman, Dracula. So
yeah, but I don't know what detective comic it is. I don't remember.
I think it's Detective 40, and people watching can correct me if I'm wrong about that. But
they're going down the wrong road.
Yeah, it's not the right love tunnel.
At least they're armed.
Yeah.
Then we got some more. This one's kind of so. But here's a mummy cover. I love mummies.
That's a guy faking it.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
And she knows it because you can see her eyes. It's like, whatever, dude.
And this is some weird one that I saw it and I just had to get it because it was just too cool. This is Lucky 7 Comics, #1, and it's just like, you got this weird ghost-like guy thing and the girl in bondage, and I don't know. I always thought this was kind of interesting.
Looks like he's got a burner.
Yeah, he's like I think he's already. Yeah, he's like, it's almost like a flamethrower. Like there's like a flame
like
it. It's really weird.
Got a burner.
I always thought it was a cool cover. And then I was showing a few of these before. Mr. Mystery.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Mr. Mystery.
This is like the ghoul-like creature in the subway. And this is the last issue from the run, where they're kind of going into the tunnel of love, but it's like kind of a terror demon thing.
Yeah.
Terror tunnel. So I don't know. One sec here. I got it. One sec here. Let's see. Oh, this is actually a very famous. Like I was trying to remember this guy's name. One sec. Let me just look up. Oh, this is a ghastly cover.
Oh wow! Look at that.
This one is in really rough shape, but if you know, even in rough shape, this is like considered like a really sought after book. It's
Yeah,
like
why?
It's they kind of like really like very I don't know, almost dissolved looking zombie like characters.
And is Detective Comics 31 and Batman 227 are those?
Okay, so 31. I knew it was like, I think I was thinking 4 issues after Batman, so therefore that'd be 31. So yeah, makes sense. Okay, so that's where the 4 came in my mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots of bondage in the golden age. You don't see too much bondage nowadays, do you?
I don't know. I don't look at a lot of modern books, so.
Yeah, but in the golden age, it seemed like almost every book had a bondage on it.
I'm gonna actually show you a Silver Age one, but it's just funny. It's a cool book. Mm-hmm. This is the Monsters.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's mixed in with my PreCode Horror, so so I thought, I don't know. I figured that was a cool show. So random one. Okay, so I sort of buried the other books that I'm going to show, so I'll dig those out while we talk for a bit.
Okay.
I kind of buried everything.
That's fine. We're talking while you unbury. Gold Key comics are good too. Yes. Yeah, I like the Gold Key. I got a couple of the Gold Key ones. But like I was saying before, back to what we were talking about when we were talking about those extreme covers. Like I like I said, the suicide, the drugs. I like anything with Nazi on there or
the Nazi covers can be really fun, yeah.
Yeah, and Ku Klux Klan.
You know what's a good one? Was that one you were looking at recently, and it's got like Nazi Guerrilla Squad.
Yeah, they have. It's a Weird War. Yeah. Weird War has one with the Nazi guerrillas on the cover
in full uniform.
Yeah, they got on a full uniform and they got the
that's awesome.
Bands. And they running in the battle. And then also Black Panther has 2 books. I think it's number 51 and 52. And the Klan has them. And then on one of them, they got him strung up about to burn him. So I like stuff like that. So I look out for books like that. Like, you know, people normally wouldn't want or shouldn't want. You know, I want it.
Okay. So you actually sort of mentioned the books that I was going to show.
Oh, great. Oh.
So yeah, so it's like trying to like, as I said, I buried them because I sort of like put books on top of books. So but I'll show you the ones that you sort of mentioned there. You mentioned the hooded figures, the Nazis, bondage a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to show you some of that. Okay, some of the great ones from that.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you're ready. Okay, hold on, let me make it big.
Oh
yeah.
Oh yeah.
This is like the hooded figure, the girl in bondage. Yeah. This is a very famous one, Shock Suspense Stories.
Because they just starting to light her up there.
Yeah, they got her all gassed up, ready to go. They look at the fire already.
Yeah, no, it looks like they're gonna light her on fire. This is another Wally Wood cover.
Mm-hmm.
So
Jolting tales of tension.
Yeah. And then here's another one with the hooded figures.
Okay, we'll come back to you, K Muni.
Here, Susie, hold this real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the girl in the red dress, again, having a bad day.
And there's always a guy coming to her rescue.
Yeah, that's Fighting Yank.
Fighting Yank.
Yeah. This is I believe this is
late to the party.
Yeah, this is Alex Schomburg. And Alex Schomburg always has the situation where the hero is like just out of reach. He's always like late for the game. So that's Alex Schomburg. And another great one that you like, again with the terrifying tales. Another thing that people look for is the devil covers.
I remember that one.
Yeah,
this is a classic cover.
Yeah,
it is some great detail in that one.
It is very good Kills.
Yeah, like it's actually like the devil, like because it's so powerful, it sort of focuses your eye there. But there's actually all these kind of like tribally kind of African people in the back.
Yeah.
They're kind of cool. Like they're actually really kind of very cool looking.
And then she looks like she's putting on a show. It's like, yeah, look at me, boys.
I know.
Well, she's like in bondage and everything. It's like really awesome. So it's just, you know, something, a whole bunch of crazy stuff like voodoo and devil worshiping and all this kind of crazy stuff happening on this cover, and flames and just lots of stuff. So I like that one. And okay, so this is another really, you mentioned death, you mentioned like drug covers and like execution covers. Well, this is a really famous execution, electrocution.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one before.
Yeah, this is like kind of rail for execution covers.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
What's he got, about 2% body fat?
Yeah, I know. It's like they're showing every little vein and
like, you can see every sinew in his body.
Yeah.
This is actually Steve Ditko.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, so kind of cool. So yeah, so those are the ones I wanted to show just when you said that. So I have some others if you want me to show them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, hold on. We got a couple of questions I want to go over first so we don't forget.
Okay.
This is from K Munin. Curious, since modern comics don't seem to sell that well, do you think they would ever be worth anything?
It's just like anything. Like I'm actually surprised. Every so often I see 90s books selling for more than $1. So I'm like, you know, if they can be worth more than $1, then there's hope for anything. So yeah, so you know, I think modern books, if you look at the runs of most modern books, you know, if they sometimes promote, like there's some new character that gets introduced within them. And usually a lot of the time, like with modern printing, it's maybe only 50,000 is like consider a normal printing run. Well, you compare that to the Golden Age, you compare that to the Silver Age or any of the earlier ages, that's a really scarce number of books. The only thing that's different between the modern books and those older books is the condition. What nowadays, what people do is they don't bother reading the books anymore. They'll just instantly throw them off to CGC to get them slabbed. So what's happening is the older books, they might have been printed more, but they were mostly destroyed. You know, like they got mangled. What we're having nowadays is kind of like less books being produced, but more books being preserved, if that makes sense. And the problem is, unless it's really a key book like Miles Morales key or some major character that will have future legs where they'll actually be people still interested in that character, I really don't see much value. Unless it's, or a caveat to that would be like really great cover.
Right.
Like there are some really great covers that you say, okay, this is a classic cover. Like I think of Detective 880 as a good example. I'm not sure if you know the one. Detective 880 is the one with the Joker. And it's got like this crazy smile and it's all made out of bats.
I think I've seen it.
Okay, so that to me is like an instant classic cover. And I think those kind of books will have value because, you know, people will always say, okay, I want to get that book. It's sort of like in the Golden Age, we have the same thing where, you know, I think of the guy with the radium, where his face is like decayed and kind of falling off, right? Where he's eating where the kid's like eating radium, you know, and it melts his face. That's considered a classic cover because it's just kind of crazy and extreme. Well, that book is super, super expensive, and the other books within that same title are pretty cheap. Like cheap, much cheaper, I should say, not really cheap. But the point is, like, people will always gravitate to those classic covers. So if you see a modern cover that is just truly outstanding, that kind of stands out among the rest, then I think they will hold value in the future.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can think of a few like that, like Adam Hughes, a lot of his covers, J. Scott Campbell, some of Jenny Frizen's stuff, Peach Momoko, like couple, not too many of hers, but some of her stuff. You know, some of those great covers by great artists, I think have value in the future.
Yeah, I know, like books like Walking Dead, Invincible, something Killing the Children. Those are just took off, and they went crazy. Yeah,
but this book I think will always be worth something.
But it's nothing great about that cover. That cover is not amazing. It's kind of basic.
It's actually a very basic cover.
Yeah.
It's actually, I actually wonder how this thing survived in terms of the run, because I don't think many people would have bought it because it's just such a bland cover.
Yeah, but I have watched the show on Amazon.
The show's great.
It's a great show. Yeah, it's a very good show.
And the story is great. Like the actual comic. So that's where they didn't focus on necessarily the best covers, but they focused on the greatest, you know, telling the greatest story. Yeah. And I think books like that will always have value. That's why Walking Dead, as you mentioned, I think even though the show might fade off, people will always gravitate to that great story of The Walking Dead. Yeah. It is a great book, great comics. Yeah. So that's really the things that you love, other people will generally love, right?
Yeah. Nostalgic. Tonight we're talking mainly pre-code horror. So that's our focus. So that's what we're showing is mainly pre-code horror. So our guest here is Alan from Comic Collector Geek, and he brought all pre-code horror books. So that's what we're going to be talking about and showing. But if you go to his channel and be a subscriber, he has a ton of Marvel books that he shows constantly and DC stuff. And if you request to see certain books, he will show it on his
try to find them.
Yeah, he'll try and dig it out because he did just move. And he'll show it on his Wednesday podcast, not podcast, but video where he does question and answer.
It's like a question and answer segment on Wednesdays.
Yeah. Where he'll read off your question, answer, and if you request to see books, he'll show them.
Like, believe it or not, my pre-code collection is actually one of my smaller things. Like, I have like a lot of stuff. But yeah.
So most likely we won't see any Marvel books tonight, but you can.
I did show some Marvel actually. I showed some Marvel pre-code.
But it was still in the horror genre. I think he's talking more of like the superhero type stuff.
Yeah, I have a pretty amazing collection for Marvel. Any major key from the Silver Age I have for Marvel. Like you can name any character, I have their first appearances. I have all the major keys for Marvel for Silver Age and going forward. Yeah.
Okay.
That was the first thing I did when I got back into collecting comics was I got all those major key first appearances.
When did you get back into it?
Really around 2018. Like I never really stopped collecting comics, but I wouldn't buy the excessive amount that I'm buying now. Like I'm buying, like every day I'm buying comics nowadays. Whereas more like maybe once a month I was buying comics back before that.
Oh, okay.
So I'm buying a lot of stuff. I constantly, people constantly say, "Oh, did you check out this comic?" And I'll say, "Okay, now I'm gonna buy that stupid comic." Yeah. It happens a lot. So I'm constantly buying stuff. So yeah, it's a bit of a problem. But I'm gonna run out of room.
Do you like, I know for me, I'll have like a thought in my mind, like I said, I like drug covers. So then I'll go and look for drug covers. Do you do something like that? You get a thought in your mind, oh, I like drug covers, or I like this. Like I know you say you like mummies. Do you go and say, I'm gonna search out all of the money books I can find and then buy it? Do you do it like that, or you just see a book and buy it?
So I would say, like, primarily I'm a first appearance collector. Like, that's what I usually gravitate to. So if all of a sudden, like, I watch a TV series or a movie, or I feel nostalgic about some characters from the past, I'll gravitate to buying those keys, like, related to them. But then I get distracted. And usually I get distracted by sexy girls. So I'll end up buying like some like sexy girl cover, like sort of randomly so. So I like a lot of like the good girl art of the 50s and 40s. So I'll end up buying a lot of that as well. I get very easily distracted and like kind of go down these rabbit holes very, very quickly. So yeah, and the problem with me is I'm very good at searching for things. So I'm very good at finding really, really obscure stuff. And so that's not a good thing in a way. It's better, like when I was collecting Warren, in a way it kind of was good for my budget because the books that I was looking for were just impossible to find. So I might go a year or 3 years before I find one book.
Oh, wow.
So, you know, that was good for the budget because that means, like, you know, I wouldn't be spending constantly. But now it's like I'm much better at searching. It's much easier to find stuff. Yeah, I'm constantly finding cool things to buy. So that's the problem. So, yeah. And then I get very easily influenced. So you've influenced me to think, oh, some of those drug covers are kind of cool. And, you know,
so the suicide cover, like that Avengers cover.
Yeah. I'm going to pick that up. So you forced me to buy a book. Okay, you cost me money. Yeah.
Well, you did it to me, so I'm glad I can return.
Okay, it's like revenge, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Okay, let's wait. Let's see if I got another question. Then we can get back to the books. It can be hard to focus on collecting only one specific thing when you have more. Yeah, and that's my thing. I do have a lot of interest, and I try to focus on one thing to try to help me out, but it doesn't work because as I'm looking for this, like I said, I'll look for a drug cover, but then I'll see a drug cover and a suicide cover. So it's like, oh man, now I want to get suicide. Or like I like war books, so I was looking for war books, and then I saw the gorillas with the swastika armbands. So now
that's cool. You gotta send me the like a photo of that or whatever. I'll send it to you.
I'll send it to you. It's because I know you don't really collect war books like all that.
I don't like war. I never really gravitated towards war books. I never really liked them.
I love war books.
Some of the covers are nuts.
Yeah, some of the covers are really crazy. I mean, you got these people running with the grenade in their hand. We got the one guy, he's putting the grenade under the under the tank.
He's trapped in a mud hole, and the treads are running, and they're like hovering above his head in the hole, and he's trying to put a grenade. He's trying to stick a grenade. This, well, at the same time, and it's like, oh Lord.
Yeah. So I mean, it's real cool stuff. But I'll send you the name and the number of the book, and if you see it, you're gonna have to get it because
you sold me on gorillas with Nazi things. That was a pretty big sell. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Neil Adams, 1968 Green Lantern dope covers. Oh well, really? I gotta look that up. Let me write it down.
No, he's referring to the ones Green Lantern. Yeah, the ones that you have. You have those.
That was in 1968.
That's 1970s. That's 70s.
Yeah.
I think it's like 71, 72, somewhere around there.
Yeah, I thought so. Okay, we're ready. We got all of the questions.
Okay, I'm just going to show a few more books. And not that many.
Okay, then we can just run our mouth and talk.
Yeah. So I'm going to show you another Nightmare. This is Matt Baker.
Yeah.
So sometimes, I'll pick up, so the reason I bought this was not because it's PreCode Horror, but because I like the good girl art element, and I like Matt Baker. so see how that's the rabbit hole effect that I'm talking about, where you sort of you sort of like think, oh, it'd be really cool to get like another great Matt Baker cover. And actually, it was good that I bought this when I did, because this book got hot afterwards and it became pretty pricey.
Oh wow.
But you know, then it sent me down the path. Oh, I have to get the other books from this title, Nightmare, and now I got the, you know, I'm getting that collection. Another one that I thought was really cool. I'll take it out of the plastic for a second. Is this one? I actually usually have this behind me. Like,
oh wow! What is that? A net or a spider web?
It's like a spider web, yeah.
Oh.
And you know, I like the fact that he has like these skull rings and his hands all kind of gnarly and,
you know, hairy. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really great. And then the girl just looks kind of a little bit terrified. I don't know. The girls are always very casual. Whatever. Yeah, a little bit shock there. A little bit of shock. So yeah, that one. And then one more, Terrors of the Jungle, and it's just a great cover. This is
some great
Morals of Death.
Yeah, that's some great coloring.
Yeah, again, this is another LB Cole.
Mm-hmm. I was on Heritage and I saw an LB Cole lot and I tried to bid on it.
Oh yeah.
I didn't win, but you know, I tried.
There are some affordable LB Coles out there. If you look at his romance covers, there's some really affordable ones. Like I have a small collection of romance books from LB Cole that are really great. I just really love his style.
Yeah, his style of artwork is really good. I like it. And they had some of his horror stuff on Heritage. And I tried to, it's kind of confusing.
The horror ones are pretty expensive usually. That's the problem.
It actually wasn't going for that much. It was, I think, 10 or 11 books in the lot.
Oh wow.
It didn't go for that much, but the bidding process was pretty confusing, and I thought I was bidding, and I don't know what happened, but I didn't get it. So, but it didn't go out for that much, though. It really didn't.
So with Heritage, it's kind of weird. That you could have probably lucked out on that. You could have probably gotten that one pretty cheaply, because what Heritage does wrong, I don't know why they do this, is they'll sometimes group a bunch of books together. And what ends up happening is the books, like individually, they could be worth hundreds of dollars, but for some reason, when it's a lot, it goes for hundreds of dollars. You know what I mean? It should really go for like 10 times or 100 times what it goes for. Like I picked up a lot of 60 books, and they were Golden Age to Silver Age. And individually, they were worth maybe anywhere from $10 to $20 to up to $500 individually.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so individually, they're worth that much. I paid $150 for the lot. And it was 60 books. 60 books. It was just insane. It didn't make any sense. But people don't buy the lots. They buy the individual books. So you can buy some really amazing lots on Heritage auctions.
David's going to show you a book.
I got one for you there, Alan.
Hold on, let me.
Okay, wait. Let me see it. Oh, I have that book. I know that book. That's the first appearance of Angel and the Ape.
Yeah.
That's Showcase. I forget what number, but
Angel and the Ape #1.
Oh, that's Angel and the Ape #1. Okay, so yeah. They originally appeared in Showcase. I actually have that book too. I just got the covers mixed up in my mind. When I'm looking at you guys are like really, really small. This is on my cell phone that I'm watching this. So yeah. But that's a great cover. That's a great. I love those kind of quirky.
It's got a classic '60s vibe. It almost looks like an Archie comic.
Very much so. Actually, speaking of that, you sort of just remind me of something I was bidding on that I lost, and I'm really upset that I lost on it. It was an Archie comics called Fast Willie.
Okay.
Fast Willie Jackson, and basically what they did. it's a famous comic. I think it ran 6 issues, and somebody had a lot of 1, 2, and 3, and I was winning. I had it like the bid was like $50 to get all 3 issues, and at the last second, somebody outbid me. I just, it's like so annoying. But it's such a cool little series. Basically, it's kind of sexy and kind of fun and like, I like that one. So, but I'm still trying to win that. So, but Archie produces some pretty cool stuff.
And then so many spin-offs, because when you look at it, it's a lot of books, and you can tell that it's an Archie style book. So there's a lot of stuff out there in that Archie vein.
Yeah, I mean, I actually never really thought of myself as collecting Archie, because I always thought Archie is kind of dollar bin stuff in my mind. Because like when I was a kid, my parents would give me like Disney comics and Archie comics. And so my mind is like, oh, these are like books that you'd read and toss kind of level, But recently, I like maybe in the last 3-4 years, I started collecting Archie. And there's just so many great things. Like I like Ginger and Jughead and all these like titles that, and Betty and Veronica and all those. There's just so many great books that, that's a whole different rabbit hole. You go down. There's so many books to find.
Because I just started collecting comics, like I said, in the middle of last year. And I thought it would be easier than toy collecting. And it's actually harder, because with toy collecting, you can kind of focus on this toy brand, like, and then, okay, these are out there. And then that's pretty much it. You can see it. But when you get into comics and then other stuff pop up, and you're like, man, I wasn't even looking at that. I didn't know that exists. And then you go over there. Then while you're looking over there, something else comes up over here. And the next thing you know, you're spread out all over the place.
Yeah. The difference between toys and comics, though, I think because comics, you can have like a box this big, and that can be like 60 comics. Whereas that might be just one toy in terms of space. So it's really easy to kind of go after like so many different things and still have about the same amount of space that you've taken up doing it. I always find that's like I always was impressed by you guys for the fact that you have such a massive collection of toys, because like most people wouldn't be able to even have the space to have that kind of collection. It's very impressive.
Yeah,
we're fortunate with the space, because it wasn't always that way.
Yeah, because when we were living in Illinois, we had one of the bedrooms, and we had our collection in a bedroom, and the bedroom was set up because it was the guest bedroom. And then we started collecting toys, and then we started displaying it in there with everything else. And then we finally moved, and we wanted a space for it, and that's what we ended up with. And this is what we ended up with.
I mean, it's good that you guys have a large space that you can dedicate to it. I'm trying to, like, right now, because my family isn't here, I've sort of taken up the whole attic for my comic room. So I'm worried, though, once my family arrives, that they're going to push me into one small part of the attic. But yeah, space is very essential for collecting.
Yeah, it's essential, but I always got a little saying: as long as you own it, that's all that matters. Even if you have to put it in a corner, put it in the closet, you still got. I mean, because you got books there, and you can say, okay, I can't see that book. It's in this closet over here, but it's in that closet, and somebody else, they don't have it at all.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there is that pride of ownership. Actually, the reason I started the Friday challenge was to really just have that, most of your books you never see, right? You never look at them all the time. But the reason I created the cover challenge thing was to to kind of dig through my boxes so that I would start looking at through my collection and enjoying it more. You know what I mean? Like have that kind of digging kind of experience.
Yeah, I like that. A lot of it I can't participate in because I don't have a lot of it, but I watch it.
Yeah.
And they're pretty cool. I like it. And then you dig through your books, and you're like, oh yeah, this one has. I think I have this cover or that cover.
Yeah.
You'll end up looking for it, and you might see something else.
Yeah.
It's always cool.
I found so many cool things. I'm like, oh, I have this. This is really cool. There's been a few times. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, you might forget after a while.
Yeah, well, I actually bought the same book 3 times, thinking that I didn't have it. Just
I did that too.
Actually, do I have it? I should show you. There's a book. It is the ugliest book that I've ever bought. And it's just like it looks like why would anyone buy this book? I paid like $20 for it too. This really ugly book. It's the first appearance of Bam Bam. I'm not sure. Did I show it to you guys before?
From the Flintstones?
From the Flintstones. I'm not sure if I showed it to you guys before, but
I don't think so.
So it's right over there. But it's really ugly. It's got like a rip down the center that's been taped. The tape is melted off. So it's like it's like it looks like somebody like ran over it with their car a few times. It's just the ugliest book ever. But what happened was I like getting those key first appearances, right?
Yeah.
So that was the only copy that was on eBay. And I was like, I don't really want to buy this book. So I was like looking at it for like months, literally months, like maybe 4 or 5 months before I decided to buy it. And I was like, can't somebody else just list something that looks half decent? But nobody would list. So there was only the one copy. So I was like, I want to have this character's first appearance in my collection. So I finally buy the book. And then when I moved to this house, like a year later, I was like digging through, like sorting out my books. And I'm like, I pull out this pristine copy of the same book.
Oh, wow.
Like, that I know where I got it too. I got it in a collection of books that had a whole bunch of Scooby-Doo, Flintstones, and like Bronze Age horror books. It was like a lot. It was like a short box of books. Okay. I paid $10 for that short box.
Oh, wow.
And they were all these really nice looking. So I had a really beautiful copy of that book. And I wasted $20 on this really ugly thing that I'm just disgusted by. It's just like the worst looking book. So yeah, it was one of those pet peeves, like, oh my God, I have this book. Why did I buy this piece of junk?
Is it handy?
So yeah. Is it? No, it's not handy. I have to disassemble my. It is handy-ish, but it's like underneath my throne. So it's like I'd have to remove this leg of my throne or arm of my throne, and then it's in the box below it.
I see.
Yeah.
But it's a very beautiful copy. It's quite nice. Maybe I would say like an 8.0, 9 range. It's quite nice. But the other one is really, really, really disgusting. So yeah. Oh well.
Have you seen any movies lately?
I want to see Ant-Man, kind of. Did you guys see it?
No.
No. Yeah.
We
That's
heard
the way I feel too.
about it. We heard a lot of stories about it, and
when I saw the daughter, I was done.
So yeah, what I've heard is the daughter is an activist.
Oh, not that route again.
Yeah. But she's great, so don't worry. She's like the smartest person in the room. Don't worry.
Yeah, we heard that, and then she gets all snarky with Dad and everything.
Yeah. Like, what have you done recently, Dad? What are you doing now? You're not doing anything useful. I just saved the world.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, more than the world. More than the
he
world.
saved the universe, actually. So it's like
half the people in the universe.
Yeah.
You know, I think if you've done that kind of level of, you know, good thing, you deserve a bit of like downtime, in my opinion.
Yeah. But the thing that gets me, and it's the formula they always go back to, and it's the first thing that one of the main things that annoyed me with Black Panther, which, by the way, I did not think was a good movie, and certainly not.
I didn't like it either.
No, it certainly didn't deserve an Oscar. They only did that for reasons.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
in real life, nobody likes a snarky, smart-mouthed teenager.
Yeah,
and it's not tolerated. People don't like putting up with that. It infuriates people. But for some reason, in TV and movies, oh, it's charming.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You know, it's weird because it used to be the case that those snarky ones, those kind of annoying teenagers, they would always get put in their place.
Yeah, like
the
early
movie would put them in their place because, you know,
Yeah.
and they would get their comeuppance kind of thing.
That kind of formula works. It's like Keeping Up Appearances, the show Keeping Up Appearances with Mrs. Bucket. She's like that, but at the end of every episode, she gets turned over. You know, because whatever she's trying to do, she completely falls flat on her face. So you're okay with it. If she got away with any of it, you couldn't watch the show. It would be intolerable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys watch the Black Panther 2?
No, I didn't want to see it. The first one wasn't good. I didn't want to see the sequel.
The sequel makes the first one look good.
Well, that's the problem. The modern formula. You got so many bad films. When something mediocre comes along, you think it's good because you don't know any better.
Yeah. The second one was really bad. Like, I just want them, like, what was the movie that I just saw recently? There was something I just watched today. I watched Last of Us. Have you guys watched that?
I heard of The Last of Us, and I saw the reviews on it, and that girl, I can't take her. I couldn't watch it with that little girl acting the way she acted. And the way she looks is just awful. It's like, what kind of look?
She looks like she has Down syndrome a bit. I don't
sounds she reminds me of the Lieutenant Commander Data. This blankness, this blandness.
Yeah,
and
so
in all of her interviews, all she does is just consistently brag about being non-binary. I don't care.
Oh, really?
And
I didn't know that.
Can you
Oh
act?
my goodness. She was actually, like, that show, I have to give it credit, actually is not that bad. So, like, can I do a bit of a spoiler?
Yeah, go ahead. I like spoilers.
So typically nowadays, and this is like this is a big pet peeve of mine. If you have a black character, they have to be perfect. You know, and it's really like it feels very flat when they do that. You know what I mean? They can't have any flaws. They have to be right. They have to be super smart. They have to be perfect. Well, there was an episode of The Last of Us where the guy was a black character. He had like he betrayed his own people because he had to get some medicine for his brother. Okay? And he was flawed. But he kind of redeems himself. He goes through that arc where you can see that, you know, yes, he was flawed. He wasn't perfect. He didn't always know the best solution to everything. But you kind of go through that journey with him at least. And you can appreciate the character at the end. But where the character is perfect at the beginning, there's nowhere to go. You know what I mean? Like there's you know, once you're perfect, well, that's it. You're done. So when a character is flawed, you can kind of see that growth, and you can actually relate to them a bit more too. So that's what I find with now, where they really try to do a lot of diversity in movies for the sake of diversity, but then they don't give any of their diverse characters any depth, where they're these perfect characters. They're super smart. They're super, like, everybody loves them. There's no gross. And if they don't love them, they're wrong for not loving them. You know, it's like there's no gross. And I think that's been kind of the problem with a lot of modern stuff. So whenever I see like a character that is not like, you know, it sounds bad. Like if I see a black character now, I almost don't like them immediately. Like not like, and it's not that I'm being racist. It's just that I know what's going to happen. It's going to be another one of these boring cookie cutter kind of characters. And I just hate to see that. So it was very refreshing when Last of Us didn't do that. You know, they actually had it where this person was a person.
And that's how I feel when I see a movie or a TV show and it has a female lead. I won't watch.
Yeah, again, that's another thing. I hate women in movies.
That's why I didn't watch Stranger Things. When it first came out, we had Netflix, and you know they show you the little synopsis. When you look at, and it says mother lost her child, something, 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 and determined to get her kid back. And I'm like, I'm not gonna watch that, because then you know, just from that, the mother's in the lead. She's gonna be like super tough, telling everybody what to do, pushing.
She's gonna be like a man.
Yeah, pushing all of the men over, not taking advice. All of the men are gonna be stupid. Yeah, and I just don't want to. And it's very incompetent. And it's like, okay, you portray people in these lights, but who in reality want to even know that
you
person?
Can't relate to those people.
But I mean, in real life, would you want to know a person like that?
No.
You don't want to know that person. You don't want to be friends with that person. You don't want to work with that person.
It's the same argument as, like I said, about the smart mouth kids. Nobody in real life wants to tolerate that.
Yeah.
It's just like, God, can't you just be quiet? And it also, I hate when they do the genius kid bit.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's annoying.
Because it's completely so far from reality. When I was in college, and this is something we've talked about before, I did a paper on that, because, you know, every once in a while, there was one in the news just recently, actually. I love doing a news story on the genius kid. You know, 2020 and 60 Minutes and stuff used to do it. Oh, he's 9 years old and he writes symphonies and he's already doing algebra. And my college project was tracking these kids down and seeing what they were doing. And
most of them turn out losers. Like
I did a dozen of them. They did nothing. Nothing. Huge, intelligent, brilliant kids went nowhere. Most of them weren't even working. It's incredible. The epitome of all of them. One guy had a job as a supermarket manager, and there was another guy. He was on his 6th degree, and we're talking at this point. These guys are in their 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
He was on his 6th college degree. He just kept getting scholarships and going back. He never worked in his life. And it's like the genius kid in real life doesn't do anything. But then we got to have Ironheart.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that really bothers me is like what they'll do is like for example, Ironheart, Riri Williams. Like you have like Iron Man, right? Like, you know, Tony Stark. And when he first built his suit, it looked like crap. It was terrible.
And he suffered. He had to suffer to get to that point.
And it took him months, and like it was pretty hard to do that. Yeah. And then when he got, and he had his like, you know, his whole workforce and like, you know, all the money to put behind building a real suit, it looked awesome, of course. But then you get Riri that, you know, in her like, you know, in her dorm room can build the same thing. It just doesn't seem real. You know, like how many, like, even if you're super smart or even like the best like engineer in the world, you can't do that. You need other people to help you build it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just, it drives me nuts too.
A great example, since you had brought it up, and we had just seen this recently, a great example. You want to see a good female supporting character? You remember the film Blue Thunder?
Yeah, Blue Thunder.
She was
Blue Thunder. I haven't seen that since the 80s, I think.
Watch it again
and pay attention. I think her name was Kate.
Yeah, she was the girlfriend.
She was the girlfriend. She was silly and goofy and quiet, you know. And then, but when he needed her, he gets her on the phone. He says, don't have time to explain. I need you to do this, this, and this.
Yeah,
she was on it.
She did everything she was asked to do and didn't ask one question.
Didn't question him.
Yeah.
Didn't argue about it.
Yeah.
And, he said, I need you to. There's a big cassette. It's like a tape. It's in a dumpster. It's at the drive-in. Okay, which one? And she went and dug in the trash. And
I remember that scene actually.
She was being chased by cops. She didn't sit there and think, oh well, the police are pulling me over. Somebody tried to at the news station. Yeah. Tried to impersonate someone and get the tape, and she was like, "Yeah, but you're not Bob. I don't know. I'm not giving you this." Yeah. She was brilliant with that, but she was a typical flawed character, but she was trustworthy. Yeah. And it's like, that's a great example of a good female support.
So what I found, and you used a couple words there that I think that are lacking from modern cinema. You used the word support. Yeah. Nobody supports each other in movies nowadays. No. Yeah. There's no sense of team. You know what I mean? Like, it's everybody's working against each other. Like they're supposed to be like, everyone's very antagonistic. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, I'm better than you. Oh no, I'm better than you. And it's like, oh, there's the white guy. We're better than him at least. It's like, but that's about it. That's how the movies feel. It feels like everybody just hates each other, and there's like all this like negative energy.
They're selfish.
Yeah, very selfish, and it just feels very. You don't like any of the people because of that. When people kind of work together, you kind of feel it.
And you get a revert, and then they mix it up, because a good example, in the opening of the very last of the Avengers films, Tony and Nebula, and they're trapped on the ship, and he has like some rations, and he tries to give it to her, and she was like, "No, Tony," because she didn't need it and he did. And it's like, that had a very different feel from where you get to the end of the movie, and then at the final battle scene, and they're like, oh, have you got something for me? To Spider-Man, and suddenly we got arrogance. Yeah. And I didn't care that.
Yeah, and now they're coming up with the new Miss Marvel movie, and they got like the 3 women Miss Marvel.
It's actually 4. I think it's 4 women.
Oh, is it 4?
It's going to be Riri Williams. Miss Marvel, and then what's her name? Captain Marvel. Yeah, it's going to be painful.
Another film I won't watch.
Don't even care anymore. I'm kind of wanting to, just a little bit of drops. Want to see The Flash because of Michael Keaton.
That's the only reason anybody wants to see it.
So I think the Flash movie. If they, did you guys ever watch the Flash Point cartoon, the animated one?
Oh yeah, with Thomas Wayne instead of Batman.
Yeah, Flash. We actually watched that last week. It was
really good.
It was,
and it looks like it's going to be the same story. Like they're actually going to try. Like the only thing is they switch out Superman for Supergirl.
Yeah, to a Supergirl. Yeah, and then they have two Flash, but one when he was a kid in the past, and then the present one, and they don't look. It looks like they don't have the Reverse Flash.
Well, I think one of them is going to turn out to be the Reverse Flash.
Oh, okay.
That's what I think the angle is. They don't want to kind of give too much away. I think so I think it's going to be one is Reverse Flash. So yeah, that's my thought. That's what I was thinking, but. I think that movie could be good if they stay true to the story.
Well, it looks from the trailer I saw. It looks like Michael Keaton is not going to be Thomas Wayne. Yeah. It looks like he's going to be Bruce.
Yeah, that's what I was a little bit surprised for. He should be the older. He should be the older Bruce Wayne, right?
No, he should be Thomas Wayne, because in Flashpoint he was.
Oh yeah, that's right. It's the father that survives, the son that dies. Yes.
Yeah, and mom was the Joker. but she was locked up in Arkham.
Yeah, she wasn't there.
Yeah,
But,
yeah, you're right. Yeah,
I like the Thomas Wayne character.
Thomas Wayne was great.
He's kind of like the Punisher.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's much more like the Punisher. I think that was interesting about him. I kind of like that. Was one thing that was great about the Flashpoint series, was that they could take that, you know, what if kind of element and really play with it. I'm hoping that's gonna be a good movie. I'm sort of like because Ezra Miller, I'm just sort of worried about him. You know,
I don't know. He went through so much the last
He's
year
a weird
or two.
person anyway. Period. But you know.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
He's very representative of Hollywood in my mind. But
yeah, that's probably how he got the job.
Yeah, unfortunately. Creed comes out next week.
Somebody asked about Creed.
Yeah, somebody talked about Creed. I saw the first 2 Creeds and they were real good. So I'm hoping that this one is good too. Have you seen the Creed movies?
I think I've seen Creed 1, but I didn't see the other ones.
The second one was pretty good. Okay. And now the third one comes out.
It still has a Rocky vibe.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's and this one kind of feels like you know, when he fought Apollo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were kind of friends, but kind of not friends, and you know, there was that kind of vibe originally. That I think that's Rocky 2, right?
Rocky he fought Apollo in the first 2 films.
Yeah. But they sort of become friends in Rocky 2. Like they're kind of frenemies, I guess.
Yeah, after the second film, they had formed a friendship. And then Rocky.
And then in the third one, he actually gets killed by the Russian guy.
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
Rocky 3 was Mr. T.
Oh, okay. So
and
it's
then
the fourth one.
and they worked together in Rocky 3. And then in the fourth one is when Dolph Lundgren comes
in. And kills him, right?
Yeah, and then 5 was Tommy Gunn.
Yeah. Man, it's been a while since I've watched the Rocky movies, just so you know. But I watched those back when they came out.
Yeah.
So
I don't know them. Like I remember the various characters, but not which one they were in. Like David knows exactly which movie they were in. I just know Mr. T was in there, Dolph Lundgren was in there, and that's it.
I forgot about Mr. T, actually, tell you the truth. I mean, I love Mr. T, but I forgot that he was in there.
He was top prime. Mr. T, and that's you know, WrestleMania 3. And Hogan, of course, was in the film as Thunder Lips, and they had all that going on.
Yeah, I mean that was I like those Rocky movies. I mean, I saw them as kids, so they
they're fun. They're fun.
Very fun.
Yeah. Gilgamesh said Flashpoint is honestly a smart way to open up the multiverse and let any actor be any character. Just say that they're on Earth 23 or 47. And that's something I've said, because they want so much diversity. And they do have the multiverse. So if you want the black Superman, the black Batman, a woman Superman, a woman this and that, have that character, but put them on a different Earth. Yeah,
timeline or something like that.
Yeah. Because you have the multiverse, so you do have the flexibility, and then you still don't have to really mess around with the original character. You know what I mean?
The big thing, like, I'm not against diversity. Like I always come across that way because I always complain about it. But it's not that I'm against. It's the way that they write them. If they just wrote them as being like a real person, I'd be perfectly fine with that. But they have them as being these perfect, like, I just hate that the women are always like men. I don't like women to be men. I don't like, you know, I don't, it just drives me nuts.
I just don't like that they're so condescending, and the men always have to be put down. I don't like it that, I mean, you can still be strong and you can be comparable and work together and not put the other character down and make them look like they're weak wimps.
But,
you know what I mean?
You know, would go further than that. I want my women to be women. Like I really do. I don't want to see like this 90-pound woman beating up a 300-pound guy. It doesn't feel real to me.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Well, it's not anyways, and that's something that when I was in martial arts a million years ago, and they had the first time I was in Volare Studios, and then I was in Chongmudo. It was at Volare Studios karate, and they had the women's defense course that they did there, and it was taught by a 4th degree female black belt, and that's something that she would bring up at the beginning of her classes. This is not TV. This isn't movies. Don't think you're going to go and kick some 350-pound guy's butt that easy, okay? Because sometimes strength will trump technique. So be smart about it. You're not going to run around and do drop kicks and fly around and just beat up huge people. It doesn't work. And that she would state that very plainly in the self-defense course. And it's like, it makes a lot of sense. She was like, I'm a 4th degree black belt. I'm not going to go pick a fight with some huge trucker guy who, if he gets a hold of me, is probably going to crush me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, actually, I'm 3rd degree black belt in judo. And there was one time where I was at a new club, and the junior champion came back. It was a female junior national champion, so she's like at the top of the level for women. Okay, and I decided that hey, I'll fight up against her, and I was sort of like brainwashed at that time to think, okay, I can go just as hard on her as I would go against any guy. And at that time, I was, in my early 30s. She's in her prime. I was past my prime. And I destroyed her. Just destroyed her. She had no hope against me. And she was probably heavier than me. Just not a problem. Like I felt like I was fighting a kid. And it's not that I'm saying that I'm like, I'm an awesome guy. It's just the level between a woman and a man, just night and day. It's just, and she's the best.
A great example of this too, because we were just looking up is a statistic, because we watch the strongman competitions, and Eddie Hall was talking about this, and I looked it up. The planking, you know what a plank is?
Yes.
And for those of you who don't know, it's when you get on your hands or your elbows and you suspend yourself elbows to toes, and you just stay in that position. And the world champion or the Guinness Book of World Records for female planking was 4 hours and 15 minutes and some change. Okay.
Better than what I could do.
And she 4 hours and 15 minutes. I'm like, oh, that's incredible. Yeah. And she's in her roughly in her prime. I think she's like late 20s ish. The male Guinness record holder is 8 hours and 19 minutes, and it's set by someone that's more than twice her age. He's in his 60s.
Oh wow!
Yeah. And I like that's your difference. And it's not trying to be mean or funny or whatever, but we're designed differently.
Yeah.
Well, guys are just physically strong. It's just we have bigger hands, we have stronger muscles, stronger bones. Men and women are different, but that doesn't mean that one is superior to the other. It's just different.
Yeah,
different. And women have some strengths. Like if you look at the ability to understand other people's emotions, women dominate that. They have a much better sense of how to understand what somebody else is feeling compared to a man. It's night and day, like the difference. And that's because women are they were the ones that had to bear the children, right? They had to take care of the child. And so
their job.
If they're doing their job. But the thing is, they have to be able to read that child's emotion.
Yeah. If they did job right.
And if they didn't, that child died, and that woman's legacy died with it. So the women are hard coded to be much better at recognizing emotions than men. And, you know, so that, to me, that's a superpower that they have compared to our strength superpower. You know what I mean? Like, there's different abilities.
Yeah, but for some reason nowadays you can't tell the modern woman that she's not stronger than, because I'm stronger, I'm better in every way, and this and that, and I have to prove myself. And then you got all of these Hollywood actors, these singers. I have to prove myself, and it's like, what do you have to prove? You have women in movies, you have women directors, you have women lead, women win awards, you know, like music awards, acting awards, all of that stuff. What are you proving, and who are you proving it to? Because everybody already knows that women do this stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
That was the big joke about that girl from Game of Thrones, when she had said that that she was the first female lead in a film.
That she wasn't from Game of Thrones.
Well,
not Game of Thrones. You're talking about Hunger Games.
Hunger Games. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Jennifer Lawrence.
Yeah.
And then everybody was making fun of her, even former female leads, like the woman who played Tasha Yar answered her on Twitter and said, "Thank you for going back in time so that I was able to have a lead on Star Trek: The Next Generation."
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, women have been like in roles of like importance since the beginning of movies. You know, it's not, you know, it's not a, this is not a modern invention. You know, they always say that, oh, I'm the first whatever. And then you go back and you look 50 years ago or 70 years ago, and there was somebody that was before you.
Yeah, somebody else already did it.
Yeah.
Nostalgic. No, we do not. Neither one of us have a comic shop.
Yeah, we're not dealers.
No.
See, that's what I'm saying. Your background looks like you're in a store.
We get that a lot, actually.
Yeah, we do.
People want to know where our store is located.
Yeah, I look like I'm in a yard sale. You guys look like you're in a store. So that's.
Well, you're working on it. You just moved.
Yeah.
Yeah. We had somebody say that they came to our store, and we were like, "Really?"
In the comment section, somebody had said to they were being snarky about it. They were like, "Yeah, I went there, so I've been to that store. I couldn't find any good deals there." I was like, "There is no store." Okay. Yeah. What are you talking about? Did you even watch the video?
Yeah.
Yeah, didn't watch it.
I'm gonna come to your store someday. You know that.
Yeah. Come on in.
So,
okay. Yeah, but I don't know how all of this is going, but I wonder about like the movie and TV industry and how long that's going to keep going, because it seems like everything that's being put out just gets slammed and destroyed, and they're not making as much money. Most of the movies are either breaking even or losing, because and why does it cost over $100 million to make a cartoon?
Oh yeah, I mean,
because I was looking at the one from Disney. I think the Proud Family is what it was called.
Oh no!
And they were
my goodness, that is terrible.
Yeah, but they were saying that it costs over $100 million to make that movie.
And the animation is pitiful.
Yeah, and I'm like,
that doesn't even make sense.
No, it doesn't. And it's like, it's an animated film. Why would it cost that much? And then the regular movies that come out are costing $700-800 million to make. And
where's that money going?
Yeah, and they're barely making that money back, because now you got to make well past $2 billion just to make your money back.
Well, so for example, like a movie like the new Avatar, I think it costs like $400 to $500 million to make. I think that's the range where it costs. But then they'll spend another like couple $100 million marketing the movie.
Yeah.
And then then they don't actually, like, you know, the revenue from the movie theater, they don't get all of that. They only get a percentage of it.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's it's not feasible that this can continue, that they can continually pushing bad movies onto us.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they got that productivity director that they're bringing into
DC
to
Disney.
And-
he's going to start chopping stuff
well,
up.
You know, the problem with Disney's screwed, actually. Sorry, but Disney is really, really screwed. The guy that they brought back into Disney is the guy that actually put them on the path that they're in now.
But no, there's another one.
They switched him again.
There's another guy that they brought in as a productivity manager over that's trying to get him voted off.
Yeah, I heard that. But
he wants to start slashing all over the place, everything that's not working.
Yeah.
And we'll see how that works out.
Well, so I think the big problem is what they do is they, like I've seen this too much actually recently. What they'll do is they'll get diversity and inclusion, like a department within any company.
Mm-hmm.
And what they'll do is they'll hire a whole bunch of people based on their ethnicity, based on their gender, and they don't really have any skills.
Yeah.
They're not really good at what they do because but they're diverse, at least, you know. Oh, you got all these people included in your company.
Yeah.
And what ends up happening is you start producing really bad stuff. You don't produce, because you're not hiring the best people. You're hiring people based on their skin color and their gender first, or their gender identity nowadays. So what ends up happening is those people kind of bring down the company. And that's one of the things that, and those type of people are generally the types of people, they know that they're bad at their job. They know this, but they're the most vocal. They're the most activist type of people. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they're hardest to get rid of.
There used to be a pride in that area too, and it reminds me of like when I was a kid. I used to read the paper actually. I used to, because primarily I like to do the crossword puzzles and stuff. When I used to go to high school, I get the Boston Globe and the Boston Herald. And in the late 80s, the Boston Herald was running a whole segment for the week talking about a problem with, it just sticks in my mind, about police officers in the sergeant's exams, because they couldn't get Hispanic or Black police officers to take the sergeant's exams. Turns out the reason was because their exam was different than everyone else's. So if you were a white or an Asian officer, you had a higher standard on the exam. And they were like, well, why would I take a lower standard and then everybody knows I only passed because I had a lower grade? And they refused to take the tests. So, and they were like,
good on them.
But now jump forward 30 years and look where we are. Now they demand having a lower standard.
I know, it's terrible. Actually, there was recently that beating that happened where the guy got killed by 5 Black police officers. And like the 2 that were probably most likely the ones that kind of ended the guy were both hired when they dropped the standard. You know, they one of them had actually a bad record where he had history of abuse. You know, they shouldn't have hired him, but because the standard had been lowered, he was able to get hired. And so what if you're a white police officer, why would you want to work right now in policing? You know, if you're, because, if you get involved with any incident, you're going to be labeled as a racist. You're going to be like, your life is going to be destroyed. So, all like these kind of like, what ends up happening is anyone that has like any like integrity or like, and this is not just white, I mean, everybody within the police thing, they're all facing this. Anyone with integrity, they're going to leave because they don't want to be like demonized just because, somebody gets arrested. People get arrested. It happens, like there's there's like 10 million arrests that happen every year in the US. 10 million.
Mm-hmm.
Out of that 10 million, there was 10 people that got killed. That's like winning the lottery kind of level. And usually it's like you have to force yourself to get killed. Like usually it's justified, where you're shooting back at the police or you're doing something stupid that's getting you killed. So
let's get back to comic books.
Oh yeah, sorry to be all political there.
No, it's all right. We try not to do that.
Yeah, we try
too
not
much.
You got me down that path, and I told you, rabbit holes. I get distracted. I go down the rabbit holes.
Because we were down there with you.
We were on that track.
It touches a nerve.
It does.
But we try not to be too political on the channel.
Yeah. Sorry, I only do this on other people's channels, just so you know. On my channel, I keep it comics.
Somebody had asked earlier about those DCs you got on your right arm there.
My right arm. Yeah, these are actually. This is a set.
Okay.
Okay.
Let me make you big.
Oh, I see you got a copy of Hansi down there.
Yeah. I love that book. So this is like the set. This is Venture Comics like 247. Which is the first appearance of the Legion of Superheroes.
Okay.
Okay, so that's that one. And then you got Superman, 147. And that's the first Legion of Supervillains.
Okay.
Okay. So kind of goes.
Is that like the Legion of Doom?
No. The Legion of Super, similar, but not quite.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then we got Legion of Super Pets.
Come on.
Oh yeah, the Super Pets.
So it's like kind of like they're all homaging the original, but they're all different thingies. So I like collecting these kind of.
And show if you can show that Hansi, because I'm sure a lot of people don't know what that is.
Okay, wait, I gotta kind of grab it.
I need the throne.
Yeah.
For a minute.
Oof. I have now a pile of books around my feet, so I'm just trying not to trip over them. Actually, this is one of the highest graded copies of it.
I have that book. I have that one. I really wanted that book because of all of the Nazi flags, and I read the history. I read the book.
This is Hitler here too.
That's story.
Yeah, because it's a true story.
Yeah,
and I read up about her and everything.
It's not. It doesn't go in the direction you would think based on the cover.
No.
A lot of people look at that and they're like, "Oh my god!" And it's like, no, it's not quite what it's about.
Yeah. So I actually did a video about this comic, and somebody got mad at me, like, "Oh, you're promoting Nazism. You're a fascist."
It's actually the complete.
It's actually the opposite.
Yeah.
That person didn't watch the video.
Yeah, and they never read that book either.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really talking about left-wing extremism. I always tell people, like, the fascists are socialists. These people, like, this is why we don't want socialism.
Yeah.
Because they're against religion. They try to push their agenda. Sounds like Hollywood. But it is a great story. It's a really great story.
It is a good story.
She actually went afterwards, and she would teach at schools and stuff, like the dangers of losing faith and also losing, sort of getting stuck into these kind of like cults of ideas.
Yeah. She was real good about that and going to prisons and stuff like that. It's actually a pretty good story.
Really good story.
One of the questions says, can the failure of the movies cause the comic book market to fall or at least affect it in a negative? Yeah, and you do see that. I know with like the Black Panther, She-Hulk, after that show came out, the book went down.
I think the She-Hulk book actually fell, and I know there's a couple of people in here that liked it, but I think the value actually dipped below where it was before the movie came out.
Yeah,
it actually made people hate the character. That's how bad it was.
Because people make the argument, and I've heard this argument, that, oh, well, that's how the comic was. Not really.
No, it was not.
First of all, what people wanted was savage She-Hulk, not 90s comedy She-Hulk, which was not actually a popular book at the time. Also, a lot of times concepts don't translate well to live action, which is why sometimes you can do better with an animated film than you can with a live action one when you're talking about comic books, you know?
Yeah, She-Hulk was a terrible, terrible show. I had so much hope for that show too. I
think a lot of people did at first, and then they saw what, like the first episode and how it went, or the trailer, and it just didn't go in the direction they thought it was gonna go.
Yeah, so to give a better, like a really strong answer for this, what I think is, it will, like, comic collectors are always going to be there, right?
Yeah.
But what will happen is there will be people that are pushed out of being comic collectors. So when a movie, like when the MCU, like if you, like I've done a whole bunch of these interviews where I interview people, and I always hear the same thing over and over again. I got back into collecting around 2015, 2016, maybe, around that time. Well, what movies were coming out? That was like the Infinity War. That was like those movies. And it was those movies that kind of re-energized the community, got them back into collecting comics.
Yeah.
When you have a whole bunch of bad movies, it does the exact opposite. It actually gets people out of the hobby.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, and there's nothing to read nowadays. There's nothing new and exciting to pick up. So it is pushing people out of the hobby.
And that's an argument I've heard a lot from people that we've talked to, or dealers we talked to at the shows, and many of them have or are considering no longer even carrying new titles. And they're like, because all I sell is the old stuff. Anything pre-2000s will pretty much sell. But all the new stuff, it's just piling up. And nobody seems to want it. And so, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
After
a while, you just call up Diamond and say, you know what, stop my shipments.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much else you can do. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of sad. It is what it is. I see the same problem happening nowadays where that happened in the 90s, where people were buying too many books that they couldn't sell. At least back in the day when you had newsstand, you'd have the remainder copies where you would send them back to the company, and you could get rid of the junk. You know what I mean? And then you get new stuff. Nowadays, you're stuck with that. You have this inventory that you can't get rid of. And it can really definitely hurt the market, I think.
And you got to bulk it to get those variants.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize you want the variants. The variants are what people want, but in order to get them, you got to buy 500 copies of something, and then you'll sell 4 of them. you know?
Yeah, I mean it's brutal. So that's it's making it really hard for comic dealers. So I feel bad for them, but there's not much that can happen unless you get better writers and better artists involved. And I think the market has to suffer a bit more before that will happen. What you should look at is Scholastic books. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Scholastic. Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Dog Cop, and all those kind of ones. Like all these kind of, those books are doing extremely well. They're dwarfing the market for comics, and it's because they're making stuff that's fun, that's cool. The comic book industry doesn't have to be as bad as it is. It's just that they kind of went down this wrong path. And I don't want to get too political. It's so hard. It's so hard. Everything nowadays. It's so hard. I really don't like going down that path. I actually like to keep it positive and comic related.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I'm stuck in the golden age.
And that's why we try to be like a sanctuary.
Yeah.
And like I said, every once in a while you get pulled in because everybody's got an opinion.
Yeah.
But then, we try to get back.
We try to get back on track, wheel everything back in, and stay focused. But I know and Gilgamesh kind of said like he's reading some of the newer books that he's reading is like Moon Knight, Spawn, and Gunslinger. And I know like I've seen a few covers that I actually like the Darkwing Duck.
I just picked up the collection of Darkwing Duck.
The new one I would buy just for the cover. I'm not interested in reading it, but I saw the cover of the newest ones that's coming out. It's on pre-order right now, and they actually look pretty good. And I was surprised because, like I said earlier, you look at the majority of the newer books, and the artwork is not that great. But on the Darkwing Duck, it was actually pretty good,
pretty decent. Yeah,
it was decent, and I thought, man, I might buy that just for the cover. I don't care to read it because somebody was saying that they read it and it's awful, but the cover.
Oh, really? I didn't think it was that bad. I didn't read it.
I'm talking about the newest one now. The newest one that's coming out right now.
I haven't read it yet. I have them. I haven't had a chance to read them yet.
From what they said, it's very adolescent humor.
Yeah.
Very
well, that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. That's what it's supposed to be. But I like the cover. I thought some of those variants were really good on those. But then you have, and I think because we were talking earlier, would modern books hold up? And like we were saying earlier, it was just certain books that would hold up, like Walking Dead, Invincible. But then in the golden age and pre-code horror, everybody wants all of those books. You know what I mean?
There's just so much good stuff back.
Yeah,
even the mediocre books make our modern books look bad.
Yeah. And then the stories and the dialogue and I heard somebody had made the argument once that like, oh well, they replaced the you don't need a lot of dialogue because the story's being told in the art, and it's like, but the art's not good. That good either. And
I think actually, you sort of reminded me of something that I think is another big problem with modern books versus the older stuff. Is in the older stuff, if you read a Golden Age book, it's actually a full story in one comic. It's much more. There's a lot more reading involved, but they tell a full story at once.
Yeah.
Whereas the modern stuff, there's a lot of fluff. You can read a modern comic in maybe like a minute or two. Like it's pretty quick. It's like, okay, it's a couple bubbles to read, but it's pretty quick. And there's not much story. But then you have to read the next one and the next one, and the next one, and after about 10, maybe you get that full story. And I think that's kind of one of the problems with modern comics is they need to go back to that episodic kind of style. I think that would be better if and it really makes the writer a little bit more skilled in a way. Because what ends up happening is, I always find this with modern stuff especially, they'll start out really strong, like the story, oh, this is not bad idea, it's really good. And you can see that they don't have it really fully fleshed out because they know that they can do it over a period of months. And then it kind of gets worse at the end. It just kind of falls apart at the end. Whereas in the Golden Age, because you had to do it all at once, you had to have that full story in mind and create, have it all work. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a little different.
Yeah, because I found that out once I started actually reading the books, and I was surprised how wordy the old
they're very wordy.
Like real word. It's like reading a novel almost.
Yeah.
And then you read the newer ones, you can turn 2-3 pages before you get something to read. Or it might be one word per page because it's like, oh no, look there. Something like that. And You know, and I honestly, when I'm reading, I read it like a book, and I don't look at the pictures as much as I probably should. I am starting to scroll down more now and look at the pictures more, but at first, because I was just reading it. That's what it, because I was like, I was so surprised at how much you had to read. And so
But when you read that much, you can really develop the characters more. You can give more, like, make them a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, you can connect with them better because you got more information, you got more dialogue, you can kind of hear their voice, you can kind of understand what they're talking about. But the newer ones, is nothing there for you to connect with.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing for you to read to even know who they are.
What's motivating them and stuff.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Oh, yeah, okay.
Just one more.
One more.
But we're past the 3-hour mark.
I know. Yeah, it's
okay.
Kind of
So
see, we created 3 hours worth of content and it didn't cost us a dime.
Yeah. So we're gonna we'll go ahead and start winding things up. Yeah. We gotta go have dinner anyway.
Yeah.
But we'll go ahead and start winding things up. And again, thank you, Alan, for joining us this evening and showing off part of your collection. You got quite an amazing collection of pre-code books. And maybe we get an opportunity to do something like that again sometime. Oh, and you let us know about your
so we're doing a show tomorrow. It's sort of like just a hangout similar to this, but
what time you said?
More comics. It's going to be at 4. I'm going to set it for 4 p.m. Eastern.
Okay, 4 p.m. Eastern. So everybody here, come on over, and Alan's going to show more books.
Yeah, and we're just going to hang out. I'm going to get multiple panelists as well, and they can show their books, and there'll be a bunch of stuff.
And then also on this channel, this coming Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. we'll be on with Jason from New 80s Revolution. So be sure to catch that. Very interesting guy. So again, thanks for joining us, Alan.
Thanks for having me.
We will see you again.
Okay, bye.